Welcome back in, everyone. If you're here from last stream, welcome back, basically. If you're not, hi, welcome in. We're playing Our Life Beginnings and Always. We played the Cove DLC, now we're on the Derek DLC. We did some of his DLC last time. This episode, this vignette, was so fucking long for no reason. But we're gonna kick it off, we're gonna get right into it. Lemonade! Lemonade, please, lemonade. It was after, by the way, I have not played any of the extra DLC, so just so you know. It was afternoon on a sleepy summer day. Nothing urgent needed to be done, no real problems have been made. You and your company were simply hanging out around the local beach, free as the breeze. Oh, hey, it's Cove. It was one of those good days where the world was your own and you had two of your close friends there to enjoy it with. Derek was on your left and Cove was on your right. 3 pairs of footprints trailed along the soft white sand behind you. Derek had only been dropped off minutes ago. Instead of going inside your house or Cove's, you simply started to walk. It was definitely hot out. Southern California tended to get that way, but it wasn't so bad that you had to hide away from the beating rays of the sun. Cove's hands were in his pockets. He spoke out while facing away from you. Instead, he lazily watched the unchanging horizon. What do you guys want to do? You and Derek took in matching squints. Normally, there'd be endless answers to that question, but the lackadaisical mood made it feel like trying to solve math problems in a dream. You had nothing. Your thoughts were moving as slowly as the tide that inched towards the shore bit by bit. Finally, the resident problem solver offered a possibility with a yawn and a tall stretch of his arms over his head. Wanna walk to the grocery store? What? Cove twisted his face to the opposite side and stared at Derek. A stuttering laugh expressed his disbelief. Why would we go grocery shopping? With a shrug, Derek scratched his cheek and explained. Well, it's probably different here, but where I live, the closest place to get stuff isn't a convenience store or mall or anything. It's a grocery store. So sometimes me and my bros will take a trip down there and see what we can find. That sounds neat. When you find groceries, you joked. I'll try it if you want to. You stared at him with the same question look as Cove. You nodded along with the explanation. You've got some interesting hobbies, Derek. I love that one. Derek just laughed. The puzzled reactions from his two friends didn't deter him at all.
This is gonna be great.
It's really not like normal errands. You can get anything you want. There are a lot of things at the store you never even think about when you're with your parents, and a list of stuff for the house. Cove's formerly heavy, drooping lids lifted high, showing his bright blue eyes. Blue? I suppose. He glanced between you and Derek for a final confirmation that you were seriously doing this today. Derek had complete confidence in his stance, when doesn't he? And he's got a point there, Cove. The corners of your neighbor's mouth perked up as well. Okay, let's go grocery shopping. Cool! It was another successful bit of improvising on Derek's part. He put his hands on his hips eagerly. I'm pretty sure I know where your store is, but the two of you should probably lead the way. Leave it to us. Cove puffed his chest out with pride. He was a true local to the town after being there for so many years. And your walk continued, now with an actual destination in mind. Retracing the remnants of your steps in the sand, heading back to the neighborhood, then up the hill and out of the residential area. When you turned onto Main Street, the grocery store was already visible in the distance. It also wasn't going anywhere, so you enjoyed the stroll together. You would arrive when you arrived. Derek continued to sell the concept of his plan by recounting stories of him and his brother's past adventures in the grocery land. So, we'd gotten pretty lucky because the discount rack had a whole cherry pie for way off. Me, Jorge, and Nico pulled our pocket change to get it, and then we had an entire pie just like that. We sat outside on a bench near the store and ate it from the pan. Sounds like an activity to do. It was cut into 6 slices. I only let the kids have 1 piece each. It was already a lot of sugar. I didn't want to make them food sick. That's good going, because I definitely would have ate the whole pie by myself, and then I never want a pie ever again in my life. Have you guys ever done that? Like, you've overeaten something and then you're like, I'm never ever again eating this. That was me with chocolate chip cookies. Because I used to sneak cookie dough. I used to sneak cookie dough when I was younger, and I got in a lot of trouble for doing that. But at one point I was like, I cannot ever eat another chocolate chip cookie ever again. I think maybe it was the brand of chocolate chip cookies we were getting, but I mean, I eat them now again. I just something, I don't know, it had to be like a specific brand that was just making my tummy, the thought of eating it ever again, just so sick. I tried to come up with how we were going to explain half a pie to Mom, but Nico had his own idea. He took a slice he wasn't allowed to eat and instead threw it at Jorge. Okay, that's rude, Nico. Cole's mouth gaped open at the audacity. I threw a cheese ball at Gil the other day, and he got so mad at me. But it's like, this little tiny cheese ball, it's like nothing. And I'm reading this, that Nico's over here throwing whole ass pie slices. That's so much messier than a cheese ball. I don't know why he got mad at me for that. It didn't even do anything. Cole's mouth gaped open at the audacity. Derek laughed out loud as the memory and the response it got, and the response it got in the present. He'd been watching way too many cartoons with food fights and pies to the face, I guess. You'd believe that. If there was one thing Nicholas loved, it was Derek. And if there was another, it was cars. And if there was a third, it was copying things he'd seen others do. That's just all children. Obviously. Jorge didn't let that slide and took the fifth piece of the pie and squished it right into Nico's head. His hair was covered in dark cherry goo. It was a mess, but if you can't beat them, join them. I dumped the last of the pie on myself. Okay. Why? It stopped them from fighting over it, and they would have ended up feeling bad if they got messy and I didn't. Nicholas didn't think very far ahead. Well, does he? He's like 4. He's 5, right? Or is he 6? He's one of these ages where thinking just does not come naturally. I mean, like, conscious thinking, like subconscious thinking. Like, they'll do it and they'll just do it. But, like, they lack the thought of consequence. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh, what did you do next? We found a water fountain around the back of the grocery store and tried to scrape off as much pie as possible. Then we went home. Were your parents home? Because if they weren't home, then you could have just given them like a bath or something, and then they would have never known. Mom still figured out what happened, and we all had to take real baths. That was a good time. A fond smile settled on Derek's face. He glanced up at the sky while getting lost in an entirely private moment of reminiscing. Clove was still reflecting on the story with amusement. It's adorable. I hope we'll find a whole pie. Huh, grocery stores are more exciting than I thought. Good, like Derek's storytelling. You shake your head at ridiculous. Yeah, I'm shaking my head. That was ridiculous. It was real ridiculous. The conversation stayed on the topic of store-related outings. Naturally, at that time you all went to the mall with Lee, technically Kyra too, was discussed. Where Clove's mom went during that trip was still highly speculated, but there were theories. The chat didn't last much longer though. Soon you crossed the street and arrived at Sunset Bird's local mom and pop grocery store. Wow, this place stocked up and got no shit missing. What do you think this is over here? I cannot tell you. I do not know. Energen? Are these chips? What? Not me being nosy, trying to figure out what all these shits are. Summer orange juice. You and your 2 co-shoppers headed right through the automatic doors. A shiver went down your spine when you stepped out on the afternoon heat and into the powerful air-conditioned store. Shiny, orderly aisles stretched out in front of you, each one tightly packed with a plethora of brightly packaged merchandise. To some people, the rows and rows of items might have been a slog to go through, but seen through Derek's eyes, it was a scavenger hunt with endless opportunities. Though it was Cove who spoke first. Do we need a cart? Nope. Probably not. Derek casually waved that off, eyes still fixated ahead on the altar of consumerism ahead. What an odd sentence. We're here for quality, not quantity. Besides, do we even have enough money to buy a ton of things? Oh, wait. Cove suddenly burrowed his hands into his pockets once again. He tucked them in deep, but didn't find what he'd gone in search of. Sorry, I need to message one of my mods. I was checking in on him. Make sure he's okay. He's good, by the way. I think. I'm hoping. I don't have my wallet. It's at home. Me neither. I thought we'd just be in the neighborhood all day. Yeah.
I figured.
It's cool. I figured. Derek's lack of reaction couldn't smooth over Cove's obvious response to the situation. His wavy eyebrows pulled down together. We could have stopped by to get it before we left. Nah, this was my idea, so it's my treat. Aw, Derek, that's so sweet of you. I've got like $8 and some change. That's enough for all of us to spend around a few dollars or put it together for one thing. That's gonna be plenty. Whew, not in today's inflation. Thanks, Derek. Not even $10 between us. Wow, it's like we're kids again. I promise I'll pay you back. Yeah, that'd be more than enough for us. I'll pay you back, bud. $3? Not even that much? It's not a big deal. I still want to. I will too. Fine, you guys win. Cove's hands finally deserted his pockets, and one came up to rub his forearm instead. Okay, thanks. Let's get something good. Derek took a step forward as he cheered. Alright, here we go. You went down the nearest aisle, swiveling your head to check both sides of the path as you swung your current empty of goods arms through the air. The way these sentences are structured sometimes, I swear. The first stop at the market expedition was the discount rack in the back. Like, sometimes it feels like it's trying too hard to be, like, wordy. Like, it doesn't need to be. You can just simplify some of these sentences. Sometimes it's like they're trying too hard to be an author, a writer. It's like, chill. Sometimes the simplest things are the best. You didn't have the same luck as Derek and his little brothers. It was the only place in the store that was barren. One shelf had several dented cartons of chicken stock. Stuffed in the bottom of the rack was rack? No, stuck at the bottom of the rack was a bag of plain rolls. The sight was pretty pathetic. Too bad. He shrugged like it was nothing, but his words told a different story. It would have been easy if there was a pie here, or a cake, or one of those pans with a bunch of cinnamon rolls. Wistfully, Cove continued to mumble a list of miscellaneous pastries that might have potentially been able to get if the fates had aligned. Good, this keeps things interesting. We can still get the stock. It's a pretty good deal. Sorry, Cove. I was hoping for a cake too. Shook your head with a smile. I was hoping for a cake too. There's still plenty of possibilities. And if push comes to shove, we could afford a smaller treat, like getting 3 boxes of 1 slice of cake each. We wouldn't eat more than that anyway. The deadpan expression Cove directed straight at Derek made him lift a curious brow. You want more? Oh, you don't know? Cove can eat a whole town by himself. You asked me for yourself, Derek. 1 slice wouldn't cut it. You don't need that much dessert, Cove. You don't need that much dessert, Cove. I guess. Right, and it didn't happen, so we don't have to worry about it. Let's keep looking. You pushed past the already pilfered treasure chest and continued to chat. You passed cereals, pastas, and sauces, an aisle full of chip bags and soda packs, and more. The dry goods and canned foods now behind you, you arrived at the produce section. Section? The arrangement of goods was much more open than the narrow rows of shelves. The 3 of you could spread out more in between pallets and baskets of fresh fruits and vegetables. Derek grabbed an avocado to check its ripeness. Why? Are you gonna eat a whole avocado, Derek? Be for real. Cole stared at the watermelons, appreciating the fruit, but his blank face made it obvious he had no idea how to tell if they were good quality or not. Then a recognizable crackling sound spluttered to life. Both the boys with you lifted their heads. Without conversing, the 2 rushed over to the back wall where the leafy greens were piled up. A light spray of mist burst from the sprinklers, raining down gently on the produce. Cove and Derek sucked their hands into the damp air while laughing. Derek rubbed his hands together to pretend he was washing them. Don't do that over the produce! Oh, these kids are trifling. Cove lifted his hands up to be as close to the source of the water as possible. Don't do that either! Just remember, always wash your vegetables and fruits when you get home, because you never know if any stupid kids are going to be doing this shit. That's all I have to say to you. You also had your hand. No. That was weird. That was weird, buddy. Like, I get it. If it's hot, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, no, don't do that. How did they both know to do something ridiculous like that? Their impromptu public shower ended shortly, and it was back to the center of the space for them. Knowing grins were shared between the pair as you regrouped. There was a comfort in realizing someone else had the same silly habit as you. So you're doing that like all the time. That's what a habit is. They're just doing that all the time? Where are y'all parents? Where? We obviously know Derek has no home training. And I mean that, he does have home training, but I mean that in like, his parents keep pushing like adult responsibilities on him. And we know that Cove definitely does not have home training. Because look at the way Mr. Holden has been raising him. Awful, dreadful. I'm the only one here who has home training, apparently. With the distraction over the main goal unresolved, Cove helplessly glanced around the store. He was totally stumped. There's a lot of things I like, but I don't have to get any of it now. How do we pick? There was a whine in his tone, and he crossed his arms out in frustration. Derek kept it light, same as he would when dealing with his much younger siblings. Dude, you need more imagination. Turn lemons into lemonade.
I've got a plan.
Actually, wait, yeah. That's what we should do. We can get some lemons and make our own lemonade. The concept struck Cove just as much as Derek. That sounds lame. Oh, that would be cool. I'm just gonna give a nod, sure. Great. Derek marched. Hold on, is the name of the story Lemonade? It is. Why didn't I put that together? Derek marched with the purpose of the box that was heavy with mesh bags of the desired yellow citrus. He tapped a finger to his chin, then bounced from one foot to the other. Derek was suddenly a lemon connoisseur who scrutinized the offerings with the utmost focus. He selected 2 bags, one in each hand. The bottom of each pack was set against his upturned palms. Derek jiggled the lemons and tried to get a sense of their weight. Finally, the bag on the right was deemed superior, and Derek carefully laid the unwanted bundle back onto the stack. Then he lifted the winner high, showing it off to Cove and you. I've got my thing. It's only $3. Your turns. What do you mean, our turns? What does that mean? We just need sugar, water, lemon, and a picture. This time, Cove didn't look aimlessly at what was in front of him. He shut his eyes and put all his mind's power into conjuring up an answer. Soon he stole a quick glance at Derek's lemons, squinted eyes, and then he took his turn.
Let's go.
I love the little voice actings. They are very entertaining. You made another trip across the length of the store, this time at a much brisker pace. Cove had a target in sight even if you couldn't see it yet. He blew past all the food aisles, the pet shelves, and the cleaning supplies. He only stopped when you made it to the one random aisle in the store with cheap plastic kids' toys. This is it. His words were eager and certain. There was a childish excitement to Cove that was fitting for that location. He reached a hand into the wall with yo-yos and bubble blowers. His fingers landed on a baggie of water balloons. Drinking lemonade is gonna make me want to have fun outside too. We could use this for that. What do you mean? I'm confused. Use what for what? The lemonade? Perfect plan, Cove. Alright. From all his previous indecision, the sweetness of victory was all the more worth it for Cove. I'm confused. His selection was even cheaper than Derek's, $2 and a bit of change. All that was left of Derek's money was $3 and your choice of prize. Derek patiently cradled his bag of lemons while Cove watched you expectantly, excited to see what the final piece of the puzzle would be. You reflected on the theme that was forming, your own preferences, and the shareability of different goods. In the end, you opened your mouth and said... I know I really was thinking chips. I don't think we should get candy because candy with lemonade is sweet and sweet is not a good mix. But savory and sweet, oh, so good, so good. I want those little umbrellas to put in the drinks. You know what? I would get something like that. I see at the grocery store when I go with Gil, there's these little tiny forks, for like hors d'oeuvres and shit. And I want to get them so bad. They're so tiny and cute. But he's like, you don't need those. And he's right, I don't need those, but I want them. I'd like one of these blow blowers. I'll take a yo-yo. I'm gonna get gum. I don't want anything. Let's get some chips. Yes, we need that. I was gonna get gum though. I do need to get gum. I haven't gotten gum in like a few months and I just ran out of it. So I really need to go back to the store and get gum. Also, Jazz, thank you for the lurk. I hope you're doing well. You got to lead the way out of the toy aisle and back into the thick of the grocery store traffic. You wound around the aisles until you found the right spot. You took another minute to pick out the best chips and then you were done. With items in hand, you, Derek, and Cove went through the checkout aisle. Derek dug out his pocket change and paid for your odd arrangement of items. None of you bothered to get a bag. Derek's was already in one, and you and Cove could easily carry your things on your own. After a successful grocery trip, you return to the great outdoors to walk back to the neighborhood. This kind of outing reminded you that it wasn't about what you were doing, what counted was who you were doing it with. No, that's such a sweet sentiment. I wish I could say that about a lot of my situations. Sometimes I don't want to be doing it, and I don't want to be with the person that's doing it. That's just me. Like shopping, I only really like shopping like if I'm with Gil. Because if I go shopping with my mom, I'm gonna hear some snooty fucking comment. I don't got time for it. I don't got time for my feelings to get hurt, and I don't got time for her feelings to get hurt, because her feelings will get hurt. I do like shopping with my grandma though. She does make me feel better about everything. And I only like shopping with Gil sometimes. Like, it can't be for clothes. It has to be like for things that are not clothing related. Outside, you gathered in front of the crosswalk and waited for a chance to get back to the main sidewalk. While standing around, it was unanimously decided that you'd bring your goods to Cove's house and make the lemonade there. Yeah, use his stuff. Use all of Cove's stuff. Your home had the risk of Elizabeth deciding she wanted a pre-dinner snack. She would appreciate having a lemonade making operation in the way. Fuck Elizabeth, this isn't about her. This is about me and Derek. There was no worry of that in the Holden condo. Cove's mom and dad were out, and even if they weren't, they were his parents, not his bossy big siblings. They wouldn't even dream of throwing the three of you out of the kitchen to use it instead. Derek was thinking along similar lines based on what he said next. Honestly, man, I can't wrap my head around what it's like to not have any siblings hanging around the house at all. I don't mean that you're weird for that, just, it's gotta be so different. Really? Is it? I have my dad here. My mom is staying right now too.
I guess.
Yeah, but that's not the same. Parents take care of the kids and the kids have a bunch of stuff they need. Every day has to be about me and my brothers. If we go out to eat, will everyone like the stuff there, or will Jorge be too picky? Are we all old enough to do whatever the thing is, or is Nicholas too little? Listen, don't shit on Jorge. Me and Jorge, we're best buddies. Me and Jorge, OTP, but not romantically. I love Jorge, that's my bud. My birthday is the only time I can do everything I want for the whole time, and I still choose to keep my bros in mind, even though my parents don't make me. See, that's your first mistake. You're allowed to be selfish on your birthday. You are. I am. I'm definitely selfish on my birthday. I've told the stories before. I don't mind, but it's crazy imagining a world where I don't have to do that. Huh. I hadn't thought about that. Cove's eyes darted back and forth, and he bit the inside of his cheek. I guess having siblings or not changes how someone thinks. I figured people would be who they are no matter what, but maybe I would have needed to be at least a little different if I had to share my parents and life all the time. Ooh, the way... If I was an only child, the way things would be different for me. But alas, I have a brother who was born first. I'm glad both of you are who you are. I can relate to that, Derek. I wonder who I'd be without Elizabeth. I don't even want to imagine a world without Elizabeth. You quietly consider the topic. What would I, Kingsley, say in this situation? You know what? I can relate to Derek though, because when me and my brother were little, and we would have to we had free nights or times where we would go out in quotations, basically get fast food, and me and my brother would have to decide on what we wanted, but we never wanted the same things. He would always want pizza and I'd always want chicken, but he doesn't like chicken. And I like pizza, but I didn't want pizza. So it was a lot of the time we couldn't decide on what we wanted, and so we would go without. We'd go without the food that we wanted. And it's difficult, especially as an older sibling. I understand it, because I was a snitch. I tattletaled. I was bad as fuck, but I was good. I was like the little angel child. I could do no wrong in my dad's eyes, basically. My mom, though, me and her, we had beef always. It's different having siblings, because your older sibling usually protects you from all the things that happen to them. But having complicated relationships with your siblings does make things different. So I was in love with my brother, familial in love. I was obsessed with him. I would follow him around everywhere. Like I said, yeah, I was a snitch, but You can't fucking touch my brother. I will beat the shit out of you. And that actually happened once. There was this girl who had a crush on my brother, and she just could not get the message that he did not like her. So I had to tell her what's what. I was like 6. I was like, he does not like you. Go away. And I do feel bad about that. I do. But like I said, like, you could not touch my brother. I would literally fight someone over him. That's just how much I love my brother like that. He was my role model. Wish I could say the same for my brother though. He did not stick up for me all the time like he should have. Elizabeth definitely has impacted my existence. Yep, siblings do that. What? The road was clear, so Derek got the conversation and his legs moving again. He started preparations by listing off what you'd need to gather when you made it back. Sugar, ideally some ice and real cold water, a pitcher, or something like that. Do you have one of those lemon squeezers? We can do it by hand if we've gotta. With every object Derek recited, Cove nodded along plainly. But he was watching something off in the distance. What are you watching in the distance? His faraway thoughts made Derek's words reach him less and less until Derek noticed the lack of reaction. He called to Cove more loudly to catch this attention. Are you okay, dude? Cove blinked as his brain snapped back into place in the center of his head. It's nothing. What were we talking about? Derek spun his lemon bag into a mini tornado by twisting it around tight from the bottom and then releasing it. He laughed. I was just making plans for making the lemonade. Okay. The rest of the trip passed by comfortably. Derek carried the conversation. Cove really paid attention from then on. Once you'd arrived in your neighborhood and reached Cove's front door, the residents of the building opened it up without needing a key. It was already unlocked. Derek gasped upon seeing such a lack of security. Cove, however, was so relaxed and content that he yawned while going inside. That unknowingly cut Derek's chance to question Cove about his choice to not lock the door. He simply followed his friend inside, and you did as well. Cove leisurely crossed his living room to drop his bag of water balloons on the coffee table for later. You left your chips there alongside it. Alright. Derek went straight into the kitchen. He had his lemon bag over his shoulder like a gym pack and flipped it over to sit it beside the sink. He slipped his thumbs through the holes of the mesh and tore it. Where's your colander? Cove paused, looking incredulously at the wall. Then he turned and projected his confusion across the counter towards the source of it. My what? Undeterred, Derek was quick to offer a rephrase. A strainer. In the lower cabinet, the one on the left. Derek pressed his hands into the marble and leaned forward with a grin. Thanks, Cove. I've never heard strainer called a colander in my life. I can't believe you didn't know what a colander is. You learn something new every day, huh, Cove? Oh yeah, I totally knew what Derek was talking about. You watched The Two Boys in Amusement. You know what? I'm gonna be silent. I'm just gonna let it happen. Just let it pass. Then the spiky-haired chef ducked down and disappeared from your sight. If you could call someone who made lemonade a chef, that is. I mean, maybe artisanal lemonade, maybe, possibly? But how would you make artisanal lemonade? Would you use honey instead of sugar? Or would you use, like, a special sugar cane? Much to think about. What makes something artisanal anyway? I don't care. Let's get back to the game. When he popped back into view, framed by the back wall and support beams at the front of the kitchen, Derek was holding a silver strainer. He plopped into the sink and it sharply clinked against the metal basin. Derek took the bag he'd set nearby and dumped every single lemon into the waiting container. He turned the faucet so he could clean the cherry fruits. The sound of running water added an extra layer of relaxation to the atmosphere. Cove stopped waddling and joined the already hard at work Derek in the kitchen. He grabbed a cutting board and a large knife from an upper drawer. It was his house and he'd wordlessly claimed responsibility for the riskiest part of the lemonade. Cove also directed you towards the sugar and a few other things. Oh, I'm helping? Okay, I didn't know I had to help. Didn't know I was being forced to. As it turned out, Mr. Holden didn't have an actual lemon squeezer. So you were going to be doing that by hand. He did have a perfectly crystal clear glass pitcher that'd be perfect for the lemonade. The body of it was completely round ball shaped. It had a narrowed edge that pulled at the top. Ow. Ugh, okay. Sorry. My skin's hating me right now. The body of it was completely round ball shaped. It had a narrowed edge that you pulled in at the top, the one side pinched into a sprout. A sprout? A spout, oh my gosh. As far as you could tell, it'd never been used.
Hey.
You made lemonade before, Kingsley? Cove? I actually have made lemonade before. Cannot say I'm a fan because I do not like pulp. Derek casually questioned both of you while you hefted the so-called colander up and down to shake off some of the water clinging to the freshly washed lemons. I make it all the time. I have, but only summer. I've done it a few times. Me and Cove have made it together before. Cove, this isn't about you. Should it be about us? We'll make it about us. We'll say it because we're friends, right? We're friends, we're fond. Cove scratched the back of his neck, his back of his head bashfully, and chuckled. There was a pretty small amount of things you hadn't done together over the years, being across the street from each other. Yeah. Cool. Are you jealous? Are you jealous, Derek? Derek hummed while placing lemons on a clean kitchen towel. He took a fruit from the colander with his left hand, passed it over to his right, and placed that down while grabbing a new one.
It's all good.
I've made it before too. Fresh lemonade is so good. I'm excited for this. So am I. Your tools were all prepped now, so the team shifted to the actual creation of the traditional summer drink. Cove cut the lemons into chunks. Derek gave Cove a tip to roll the lemons against the board before squeezing them to get the juice going. You and Derek worked hard together to squish the fruits. You squeezed the lemon parts over the pitcher itself with a smaller strainer balanced over the mouth of it to catch the seeds. Piece by piece, you crushed the thick peel into itself to pop the little sacs of juice in the fruit. The tip of your fingers began to wrinkle after a while, but slowly a murky liquid pooled at the bottom of the glass container. When enough fruits were chopped, Cove joined in the juicing effort. The three of you huddled around the counter together. You leaned over the one pitcher and strained to get everything you could out of the little yellow menaces. Why are they menaces? They're just existing. They have not done a single thing. Of the little yellow menaces while not accidentally squirting acid into anyone's eyes. Oh, is that because, you know what, that's a you problem. That's a skill issue. If you're squirting lemon juice into your eyes, okay? Do better. The precariousness of the situation inside, Cove continued the conversation with a question of his own. Derek, you've made lemonade, but did you ever do the whole lemonade stand thing where you try to sell it to random people who pass by? Oh yeah, it was a mess, and I think we only sold like 2 cups. Nicholas kept drinking our supply, and Jorge's effort to stop him spilled even more of it.
Oh man.
How long ago was this? Plus, the 2 kids fighting over the lemonade jars probably scared people away from the stall. But it's not like I was expecting that to be some kind of entrepreneur success. It was for Nico and Jorge to have fun, and they did, mostly. As usual, tales of Derek's endeavors as the big brother got Cove to chuckle. You were also smiling, even though your fingers had started to cramp after so much lemon compacting. Me, Cove, and Elizabeth did that too. I never got to do that. It's not fair. I didn't even try. I would never talk to strangers. I didn't get to do it. Did I want to? You know what? I was kind of ambitious as a child. But growing up, I became less ambitious. I really wanted to be a Girl Scout. Like, I really did. I also wanted to be a Boy Scout, but you know, rules. But I never did. Why? Great question. Ask my mom. Our neighborhood has almost no one who goes through, and my moms wouldn't let me go all the way to the main street to set it up. Man, all this business talk makes me think about how I only met either of you because my dad partnered with Cove's dad's business. If that hadn't happened, you probably wouldn't have ever learned I existed. We still know each other, obviously. Derek squeezed his 12th lemon chunk with a fittingly sour expression on his face. He'd accidentally made himself feel like a third wheel. Babes, if anybody's the third wheel here, it's Cove. I'm letting you know that right now. In the cluster of human juicers, Derek was in the middle, yet he began to fade despite being right next to you. You and Cove looked at one another from over Derek's lowered head. Cove pushed himself to smile through his concern, while also giving Derek's arm a little nudge with his elbow. I worry about the kind of things sometimes too. If my dad hadn't picked the street to move to, I wouldn't have met Kingsley, of course, because it's always about me. Always, forever. Beginnings and always. The bravery he mustered began to disintegrate after putting that truth to the front of his mind. Cove swallowed bitterly. So what you're saying here, Cove, is that you think you're the main character because you brought me and Derek together. Interesting. Noted. I don't think, I don't like it when I start thinking about that. But my dad still wouldn't have had his business, so my dad still would have had his business, so I still would have met you. Feverishly, Derek pressed his shoulders up against his face. He managed a small smile. It's rough for all of us. Where your parents live and what your parents do has to matter so much to everything. Derek bit his lip, unwilling to let himself continue to speak negatively. But, like the turtle coming out of its shell, Derek lifted himself off the counter and rejoined you and Caleb at his regular eye level. We did meet each other and we're friends. That's what counts. Exactly. What ifs don't make a difference because we're really all here. We could have met another way somehow. That's three of us who worry over those things. I don't understand this one. I'm glad we got to meet. Soon we'll be old enough to decide everything for our lives. I'm glad we got to meet. So am I. Cope quietly watched over his friend, soothed by his uplifted mood. Then his lips parted as a pleasant thought came to mind. Hey, this is where I was standing when I first met you. Right? Well, yeah. Derek bounced up on his toes and tossed the lemon piece he'd been working on over into the trash can. It landed inside perfectly. Not him being a sports prodigy. But I was on the other side of the counter back then, and now I'm here in the kitchen with you. I caught your ear and you lifted one of your eyebrows. You remember the night Cove told you he'd met a new kid named Derek, but he didn't say much about it. All you really knew was that the parents had started working together, and then Derek began to come around the neighborhood for visits. Derek could recognize an intrigued audience when he saw one in what he knew how to do. Tell the rest of the story. And he did what he knew how to do. Okay, cool. Reading, am I right? Mr. Holden invited my dad over for a meal at his house after their partnership was official. Partnership. He talked about Cove before. When him and my dad were getting to know each other. You can't get away from hearing about Mr. Holden's top-notch son if you spend any time with him. Don't I fucking know it? It's a man and his baby. Off to the side, Cove mumbled with embarrassment over what he clearly thought was an unnecessary addition. Derek laughed the minor interruption off and went on. My dad suggested that I come too, since we were the same age. Mr. Holden was apparently really into the idea. I had no idea what to expect from something like that, but I wanted to go to a sort of business dinner with my dad. It felt pretty cool to be invited, and then I went. Whatever I was imagining before I got here, Mr. Holden definitely wasn't it. I had thought my dad was casual for a professional business person, but Cole's dad takes the cake. Girl, I know. He is so unprofessional. A warmth came to Cole's expression, not the red-hot heat of a fluster from before, but a gentleness that was based in his honest love for his parent. A lot of people don't expect Dad to be how he is. What did you think about me when you first met me, Derek mindlessly scratched his damp hand against the back of his head. They stay scratching their head. Y'all got dandruff? I understand. You need some Salsa Blue? A stray lemon seed clung to one of those spikes on his hair. Oh, lemon seed. You didn't want to cut too off, so a little bit went unmentioned. I would have just told him, hey, I'm gonna go get this lemon seed out of your head. That's just me. I mean, he can still tell the story. That's all. Honestly, when I spotted you in the back of the kitchen, I thought Mr. Holden had another older kid he was hiding, because there was no way that guy was 13. You were so tall and fit, and you just stared at people. You seemed like a tough I'm dead. You seem like a tough upper grade teen who'd never want to talk to somebody like me. You laughed under your breath. If you didn't know any better, you'd think he was describing Elizabeth. Having that description he assigned to Cove Holden, of all people, was hilarious. Cove was equally startled by Derek's choice of words. His eyes opened wide in amazement. You thought I was tough? Yeah, I did, but thought is definitely the right word for that. That instantly put Cove into a pouty mood. He pressed... Bro, be for real right now. It's not that serious, babes. It's not that serious. He pressed both his palms against the marble countertop, not bothering to squeeze another lemon. Cove didn't want to play anymore. Cove, be for real. Derek leaned his shoulder against Cove's side affectionately. He reached past him to the lemon slice Cove wasn't using and started to juice it himself. There's nothing wrong with being a softie. I like that about you. Bringing Derek's statement to life, Cove visibly relaxed his stance. The tone of his voice was equally delicate. Guess it's not bad. Cove was honestly kidding himself if he thought he was anything other than a sensitive sweetheart. But just like Derek, there was something he treasured about him. It's great, Cove. Cove took a new piece of fruit and rejoined the lemon-making efforts. Derek pinched an eye shut from the tension of crushing a chunk in his fist. He hesitantly continued the topic. So, what about me? When you first met me, what kind of impression did you get? With much less force, Cove used both hands to work on his single lemon. He answered the question while staring off into space. There was likely the same expression Derek had seen the moment they'd met. The face he'd read as intimidating rather than easily distracted. I thought you probably like sports. All three of you shook from laughter, bumping against each other with your closeness like a bunch of grapes on the vine rustling in the wind. Okay. Kingsley, your turn. What did you think about me when we met? Oh. Your mind drifted back to the few moments ago before summer vacation had begun. You stepped out of your house late in the evening. Cove was sitting on the curb with someone else. Someone you'd never seen in your life, not even in passing at school. A green-eyed boy with a football jersey who was joking around lightheartedly with your longtime neighbor. You guessed immediately that he was the Derek kid from the Holden's new business relationship. That, or Cove had learned a magic spell to summon a new friend out of nowhere. That seems so stupid. That seems so stupid. Who wrote that line? Go back to the drawing board. You had stood there staring for only a second, but the newcomer noticed your presence quickly. He jumped right to his feet, jogged across the street, and stuck out his hand for you to shake. With the wide grin that you were so familiar with now, he introduced himself for the first time as Derek. So for me, Princess, I would've been like, a new person. But I feel like Kingsley's very outgoing, so I too thought, this guy likes sports. I thought you were cute.
Really?
Thanks. Not him blushing. Cute. He's so precious. I expect to hear what you thought of me now. Derek's gaze shifted from the picture in front of him to settle on you instead. There was a focus in his eyes. It made you hold your breath from anticipation. I thought you were cute too. I love how Cove's just over here third wheeling now. Like I've been saying, Cove is the third wheel. It's not you, Derek. You'd hoped you'd be able to inhale again after he spoke, but that only made it worse. You struggled to get any oxygen in. Oh my gosh, Nada's freaking out right now. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad you didn't think I sucked. Okay. We're a couple of cuties. You smirk, you began to blush. Smirk, we're gonna smirk. By the way, you have a lemon seed in your hair, and then you kept busy by finding another. By the way, you have a lemon seed in your hair. Did I ruin the mood? No! Derek raked his hand through his light brown strands blindly. Unfortunately, he focused on the top and the side, so he never hit the right spot. One of your hands covered the laughter coming out of your mouth, and you used the other to point out the target on the back of his head. Why didn't I just grab it? Why am I doing all that? That seems like a little mean-spirited. Finally, he was able to brush the seed onto the floor. He bent down to pick it up and dropped it to the side of the counter. Thanks, Kingsley. You're welcome. We could add a little of the lemon zest too. I'll do that. Don't do that. I'm not drinking this lemonade. It's been poisoned now. Derek fumbled to move the topic to something else. Do you guys like lemon snacks? I find lemons very delectable. However, I would prefer lime over lemon. But I've been seeing these like lemon frozen treats that you can make at home, and they look so fucking good. I'm so tempted to make them. That requires a lot, and I don't have a blowtorch, so I can't like flambe them. What is it called? It's not flambe. It might be flambe. It's when you like torch them with the little torch thingy. It's not caramelized, is it? Doesn't matter. No. Just know that I want lemon treats. I think lemon's such a good fruit. However, I hate pulp. So there's that. I've made lemon bars before, and they're pretty tasty, but like I made too many, so I gave them to a friend, and he really liked them. It was my first time ever making lemon bars, and I might maybe try and make them again. Not anytime soon, and I definitely would need a smaller pan. Anyway, we didn't come here for that. Derek fumbled to move the topic to something else. His darkening cheeks were probably the reason why. Do you have a grater or a peeler? Yeah. Cove gestured to the same drawer the knife had come from. Derek dug through it until he successfully retrieved a multi-textured... Yeah, grater, okay. I had to make sure I read that word right. He took his stuff to the opposite side of the kitchen to not get in the way and worked with his back to you and Cove. Cove tilted his head thoughtfully. He was inspired by Derek's work ethic. If it's gonna be fancy lemonade with zest, then we should do the thing where they put the whole slices in too. No! I can cut a few of the leftover lemons. Kingsley, can you pour the water and sugar in the pitcher so it can start to dissolve? Yep. You started by filling the sparkly jug with chilled, filtered water from the fridge, and you remembered to put ice in the drink too. The diluted lemon juice sloshed around and threatened to spill over as you piled in the ice. You left some space for Cove's lemon slices. Finally, you took hold of the hefty bag of white sugar and pulled it close to the counter's edge. Do you not measure it? Did you not measure this? It's gonna spill everywhere, Kingsley. Stray grains of sugar that coated the bag came to stick against your still damp fingers instead. You felt like you were building a sandcastle at the beach. You added just a pinch, you added half a cup, you added a full cup, you added 2 cups. You poured straight. This is what I would do, honestly. I would just go from the bottom of my heart how I'm feeling. I've always measured shit with my heart. You just pour sugar until it piled at the bottom of the glass. And then add 2 cups. I love sweet. You searched around the kitchen, you found a colorful ceramic mixing spoon, you ducked into the picture and carefully stirred. A quiet smile grew on your face as you watched the bits of sugar swirl around the pale yellow drink. At this point, the separate ingredients had truly come together to become lemonade. Round and round you turned the spoon. It was almost hypnotic the way the juice whirled inside the pitcher. Your trance was broken by a sharp hiss at your side. You dropped the spoon, losing it in the depths of the lemonade, and you stopped your head towards Cove. He was holding his left hand up to his face. A thick bubble of dark red had slipped down from his fingers and left a streak over his palm. Oh, ouch. You good? That's not great. Where do you keep the bandages? You screamed at the sight of the... Where do you keep the bandages? Cove plainly shrugged. It's nothing. Without even thinking about it, Cove reached his hand down to wipe the mess. You little nasty. Don't do that. Oh my god. Go wash your hand off and go get a bandage. What is wrong with you, Cove? Like I told you, no home training. Luckily for his trousers, Derek flipped around at the commotion. His tense, worried face took in the scene, and a disbelieving shout startled Cove into freezing. Don't do that! Cove stared incredulously from the corner of his eyes with the arm awkwardly sticking out from his side. His sudden pause in a strange position reminded you of the red light, green light game you played at your elementary school, except there was no green and only red in Cove's version. I'm fine. No way! You're gonna ruin your clothes and maybe your finger. It could get infected. Yeah, didn't we go through this already with you ruining your fucking cast? Do you want to amputate your fingers too now? I mean, you have your arm back, but still. Derek stretched his arms high. What if he gets like gangrene? Derek stretched his arms high to grasp the taller teen by the shoulders. He stepped backwards, getting Cove to move with it. You know what? I wouldn't put it past Cove to have gotten ringworm at one point in his life. I really don't. We're gonna clean that off for real. Cove muttered and averted fine as he stumbled along with Derek, who was reversing out of the kitchen. Kingsley, do you mind cleaning up the cutting board? No, I'll take care of it. Actually, I do mind. I do mind actually, but fine, I'll do it. I'll do it for you, Derek. You gathered the knife into the cutting board and brought it over to the trash. The lemon slices couldn't be used in a drink after that. You used the knife to scrape them off and into the bag. Then you got to rinsing the board and knife in the sink with soap, hot water. You switched between staring down at the sides and checking over the counter for the boys. You were careful not to accidentally get a cut on your own, but it was hard not to wonder what was going on down the hall. You know what? I feel that. I'm very clumsy and I have cut myself a few times. Washing dishes. I've dropped a few dishes. It's not been a good time for me. I don't like doing dishes. I feel like I wasn't meant to do chores. I really do. I shouldn't have to do chores. By the time we finished washing up, Cove and Derek reemerged in the living room. I just wasn't meant for it. Like, my disposition in life, I definitely was not meant to do that. An unassuming brown bandage was wrapped around the cut on Cove's finger.
It's okay.
It wasn't deep. We washed it off, got it clean, put a bandage on it, good as new. Derek marched with confidence right back into the kitchen. Cove hesitated into the living room. He waved apologetically. What do you want, Cove? Hey, you're really okay? I definitely am. I just stinged myself with when a lemon slipped. The juice stinging me was way worse than the cut itself. Oh, it was like a paper cut. Paper cuts are the fucking worst. That's a relief. Thanks for helping, Derek. I mean, I offered the bandage thing, and he was like, no. You know, I just feel like I should get credit a little bit. Thank you too. It's cleaner in here. He held his hand up to you for a high five. It had been washed clean of the lemon juice that coated it before. You slapped his hand. Slap his hand. You swung your palm forward and clapped Derek back. He palmed his arms enthusiastically as a follow-up. Cove walked over to join the two of you, smiling ruefully. Thanks for caring. Always, man. What? Now what?
Well,
He took a second to look between you and Cove as he puzzled out the next step, and then he beamed. Let's try our lemonade. It doesn't need the slices or the zest. You were completely right. I'm so glad that this incident happened. Derek gave an exaggerated wave across the front of his chest, blowing the whole thing off. Cove eagerly supported the sentiment. He was more than ready to put the prior incident behind him.
you're right.
Yeah, lemonade doesn't need to be fancy. It's lemonade. Oh, look at our... I can't. How are we gonna get that out of the... I have many questions. I'm not gonna read this yet. I have many questions about this lemonade. What kind of fucking spoon is that? First of all, you need a bigger spoon. Like, I'm looking... Hold on. I'm trying to measure this with my fingers. No way in hell I was stirring the lemonade with that tiny ass spoon. There is sugar all the way at the bottom of it. Terrible, terrible, terrible. It's gonna be the shittiest lemonade in history. It's gonna be gritty. Derek nodded twice as he strained to lift the nearly full pitcher. Nearly full? This is not what I had in mind when he said nearly full. When I'm thinking nearly full, I'm thinking right up here. Right up here. But this is shitty lemonade. I'm not drinking this shit. I was gonna drink it anyway, but I'm definitely not drinking it now. He had to balance on his tiptoes to pour the juice into the set of 3 glasses that had been put out earlier. If Derek noticed there was a spoon clattering around in there, he pretended that he didn't. Hopefully my hands were clean before I dropped the fucking spoon in there. I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass on the lemonade, like I said. At the same time, Cove and Derek tipped their cups, took full gulps of the drink. It's sweet. So was his expression while he said it. Don't try to flirt with him. Yeah, it's very sweet, but that's good. You enjoyed the process of working together to create something, and we're glad the two of them got a nice treat out of it. Can I open the chips, though? Cove chugged the rest of his drink, then placed the empty cup down firmly. His enthusiasm was continuing to rise. Let's fill the water balloons. Oh? Okay. I was hoping we could have a snack. I guess not. Slowly, cautiously, Derek questioned Cove's plan. He didn't want to ruin things, but expressing concern was more important.
Sure.
Will you really be alright in a water balloon fight? With your finger and stuff? Cove remained relaxed in the face of Derek's worry. He wasn't going to bring the mood down with the commotion he caused earlier. He responded to the inquiry by slickly pulling out the big gun. Oh? He just flipped him off. Did he give him the middle finger? Graver smirked as he held up his left arm over his chest, showing the full length of the jagged pale scar that marked him. Oh. It could have been worse. Derek's eyes widened. His mouth was stuck hanging open. He's not ready for that. Cove, you didn't have to do him dirty like that. You'd seen Derek in a swimsuit. He didn't have a single scratch on his skin. Or if he did, it was tiny enough to be covered by nothing more than the neon shorts. Oh, and those shorts were tiny as fuck too. What if Derek became a professional swimmer? I could see it. He could be like Michael Phelps. That's the only swimmer man that I know. I'm sorry, I don't know any other swimmers. You'd seen Derek? Yeah, okay. He could only imagine what Cove had gone through to get an injury with such a lasting impact. So, if Cove Holden said he could manage a cut, he could manage that cut. You know, you're pretty tough after all. The compliment had Cove preening. He caressed his trusty scar and giggled childishly. Yeah, you and I, round Cove. Alright, let's do it. Nothing else needed to be said. Three of you busted open the baggie of water balloons, pushed the tools of your lemonade production aside, and got to work on another summer group project. You stretched the open end of the water balloon over the plastic fit snugly around the silver spout. You still kept your hands on it to make certain the balloon didn't pop off and shoot a stream into your face like a busted water fountain. I don't think I've ever played with water balloons. Like, I've had balloons, so I tried to pull them with water, but I don't think they ever worked. It's whatever. I'm not a big fan. You know what? What if we did? What if I did get water balloons? Maybe that's an idea. But I don't like getting wet, so maybe if I ever go to the pool again, I'll just bring some water balloons. Derek, flip the... No, I can't be trusted. I'll probably break them by accident. Never mind. Derek flipped the handle up for you, and for the first saggy balloon rapidly expanded. Out of the bag, the balloon was a dark emerald color, but in a few seconds, the bloated sack of water had stretched so thin the green had become almost translucent. It was as tall as Cove's hair. Before it was pushed beyond its limit, Derek turned the faucet off again. You carefully pinched the strained top of the perfectly plump toy, and then harvested off the silver vine. Cove reached out for it as he intended to tie the balloons while you and Derek continued filling. Derek looked between the balloon and Cove's hand and called for a timeout. He'd been a little overeager to get involved and realized that in that moment that their team arrangement wasn't the most efficient. He requested to switch positions with Cove. Cove rolled his eyes but couldn't argue. His bandage could easily be yanked right off by the taut loops of plastic that formed around the fingers while tying them. Your optimized party got back into action with you hooking balloons into the place, Cove handling water distribution, and Derek sealing the deal with a knot. Soon you had a couple of dozen shiny water balloons overflowing in the sink basin. Cove pushed off from the counter silently. He disappeared from the kitchen and left you and Derek wondering. He went down the hall into his bedroom. He was only gone for a minute, but before stepping back into the hall with a pure white hole-speckled laundry basket. The point of it was obvious, but his choice of bin did get a bit of ribbing from Derek. Did you dump your clothes on the floor for that? Yeah, they were already dirty. Ew. Ew, Cove, why are you gross? Derek blinked. He hadn't expected that to be true, or for Cove to be so straightforward about it. You laughed at the exchange, still casually leaning against the sink. When Cove dropped the very newly empty laundry basket on the tile, you cradled a few of the balloons in your arms and placed them inside. Cove and Derek joined in with the transfer. Eventually, every water balloon had made it safely into the basket. I feel like we should all have, like, our own little water balloon case holders. But that's just me. I don't know if you have any more, like, bags or anything. Nice. Nice work. Derek and Cove took one side and lifted it, while you helped steer by grabbing the back end. Moving as one, the three of you shuffled out of the kitchen and through the living room to take your treasure chest of jiggly jewels into the neighborhood. The door was open, the drop from the curb to the street was overcome, and you successfully placed the laundry basket in the center of the empty road. Well, we're here. We are here. Derek slowly curled and uncurled his fists. Cove didn't take his eyes off you or Derek. No one made a move for the pile. You held your breath from the growing tension. You broke the pause and grabbed a weapon. A stardip. Derek wasn't going to be caught off guard. He stuck both his hands deep into the mask and came out with two balloons. Cove him to keep up and almost tripped over himself to get a water balloon on his own. Oh, poor Cove. In quick succession, Derek launched one shot at you and the other at Cove. You felt the impact of a solid object slamming against your chest before it burst into a million pieces and the shock of cold water seeped into the front of your shirt. Cove was left sputtering with a dark stain on the lower edge of his top. He shook the hit off and chuckled and chucked a balloon directly at Derek in return. It exploded against his right shoulder. No one was dry anymore, and no one was safe. The war was on. You threw yours at Derek, you threw yours at Cove. You ran to put distance between you and them. I'm running. Getting a hit in was as far as... Oh my god. Getting a hit in was a far lower priority than not getting hit again. You hightailed it out of the danger zone with your water balloon in hand. The two boys dug into the pile yet again and restocked their supplies. The water balloon fight was in full force. Derek sprinted up and down the street, making himself into a moving target. He'd only made a mad dash for the center area when he ran out of balloons. Cove had no fear of being an easy mark, and stayed right by the laundry basket, lobbing strike after strike at you and Derek. You hit your home's doorway, it took shots from cover, you chased after Derek, you competed with Cove. Let's stand in the doorway. Let's all have our own strategy. The walls of your family household proved to be a perfect line of defense. You rarely had the chance to get a balloon and throw it, but the boys almost never got a clear shot at you. Laughter and water splashes filled the normally quiet Sunset Bird neighborhood. You were convinced the mean grandparents would jump out and shout about the noise. Luckily, no one interrupted your revelry. And even if someone had, they would have been putting their dryness at risk by confronting your group. Rapidly, the amount of balloons dwindled until each person only had one left in hand, and the laundry basket, and nothing except a little puddle of the bottom of the scraps of rubber scattered in it. Arms were held high in the air, taking aim. Your eyes shifted from one option to the other. Derek wound his hand further back. Cove and you couldn't take your eyes off him. Your teeth gritted as you tried desperately to calculate where the balloon would fly. Would it be Cove or you? However, Derek chose neither. He launched it straight up in the air. It reached an impressive height. You could barely see the speck of yellow against the vast blue sky, until it inevitably settled down smacked against the tarmac. Derek broke into more snickers the exact moment the balloon broke into 1,000 drops of water. He wasn't the only one amused by the stunt. Cove's smile bent and he opened his fingers to let his balloon drop harmlessly to the ground. Cove didn't pick it back up. Instead, he brutally fought his foot against his own weapon and decimated under his heel. A jovial truce had been formed between the two. I'm gonna throw mine at Cove. But the ceasefire didn't have to apply to you. Without mercy, you poked Cove with a final blow. It splattered against his collarbone, but he yelped at the unexpected soaking. He shot you a look that might have hit as hard as your balloon if he hadn't paired it with a Verhei smirk. Cove applauded the success of your sneak attack. That was how the grandest battle your neighborhood had likely ever seen came to an end. You were all dripping wet and out of breath, and you couldn't be happier. Derek rubbed his hands together in satisfaction before crouching to the ground to start collecting tiny bits of water balloon debris. Cove strolled around to gather the confetti-like trash on his own accord as well. There didn't have to be a discussion. Derek and Cove had that quality in common, a distaste for litter. He says that, and yet he nasty as fuck. You appreciated that about both of them and joined in to help pick up the pieces off the ground. You quietly wandered around, filling your fists with rubbery remains as the sun crept behind the condo roofs. We didn't get a chance to eat my chips! Your shadows grew longer in the waning light. You felt the damp cleaning of your clothes more acutely as the excitement died down. Your team managed to finish cleaning before night had completely fallen. All the trash was dumped into a tall green trash can at the side of Cove's house. With all that remained of the carnage being a few drying watermarks spotting the street, your group had returned to the state you'd originally started in, directionless relaxation. Cove had been perfectly willing to return to his house while still wet and scrounged up fresh glasses of lemonade. Plus, he had your chips tucked away under his arm. Finally, we get to the chips! What flavor did I get? If I'm gonna get a flavor that most people like, I'd probably get sour cream and onion. But I personally like Cheetos, like hot Cheetos, not like regular Cheetos. Sometimes regular Cheetos are okay, but it's rare that I'll eat a regular Cheeto. I do have a preference for hot Cheetos, but I haven't had hot Cheetos in a while. So I've been having Fritos honey barbecue twists. And I've been having jalapeno chips, like the kettle ones. Not that any of this matters, but I'm just wanting to know what kind of chips I got for the group. It was a struggle to balance it all. But Cove took one for the team as someone who actually lived there. You and Derek didn't have to go in and make a mess of the holding home, though you imagine Cove's dad wouldn't have cared. He passed a drink to you and to Derek, then used his free hand to flip the laundry basket over. It was less flimsy than it looked because Cove sat on it, and it didn't buckle at all. That's because Cove's he's 90 pounds. Cove's just 90 pounds. He's just skin and bones. Derek politely passed on the seat Cove provided. He remained standing while shifting his weight from one foot to the other. He sat on the ground, he sat on the basket. I want to sit on the ground. Why not? I feel like this ground isn't dirty. By dirty, I mean filled with bugs. If you cared about keeping your clothes pristine, you wouldn't have gotten into a water balloon fight. A little bit of dirt couldn't hurt. Cove quietly took a sip of his lemonade. Derek circled the top of his glass with the tip of his finger, watching Cove.
Are you alright?
How's your hand? Cove savored another taste of the drink, with a refreshed sigh, and then answered.
It's okay.
It's still fine. Cool. The ritual of checking on him was complete, and Derek could only chuckle bashfully at his habit. Cove smiled over the rim of his glass, of his cup. There was a comfort in knowing Derek would always care. In between enjoying lemonade was plenty of munching on chips. It was a match made in heaven. The air was warm enough to be comfortable even with your wet towels. Wet clothes. Where am I getting these words from? Where's my mind pulling these words from? Because they aren't here. Lemonade, chips, and good company. That was what days like these were for. It couldn't get much better. Cove agreed contentedly, without you even having to say so. Summer really is the best season. Wrong. Incorrect. I think so too. Summer is the worst of them. Sometimes I can't understand you. The visible expression rested on Derek's face as he spoke softly. Like you too, Cole. It'd be nice if things could be like this all the time, huh? But then Derek lifted his glass and spoke in mock outrage to the world at large. Why can't it always be summer break? Despite it being an obvious joke, Derek's words struck a chord with Cove. His total chill hardened into seriousness. He downed the second glass of lemonade and hopped into his feet. I'm gonna go check something. You should come, both of you. He considered what a sufficient offer became. Nope. Words. He considered that a sufficient offer because Cove simply walked back to the front of his house and left the empty glass at the side of the door. Derek's gaze followed his friend and he lifted one brow. What are we gonna see? You'll see when we get there. You're probably gonna try to talk me out of it, so you don't need to know now. What? Oh, look at that squint. He almost dropped his cup. Derek twisted his head to track Cove's moves, but his saucer-wide eyes. Or maybe Kingsley would. This is gonna be trouble. Is it? Still completely confident, Cove strolled up the road. Derek gulped, but not the lemonade. He pointed a panicked glance at you. We should go. You pushed yourself off the seat and stood by Derek. Alright. Derek hooked his open hand through the side handle of the laundry basket. He jogged up on his tiptoes over to Cove's condo. The bin bumped along against the street behind him. He flung it in front of him and left it there in the entry. He placed his half-empty lemonade by Cove's. You were right behind him. You dropped the chips into the laundry basket and completed the set of glasses by placing yours next to theirs. So we don't know what kind of chips I got? Ugh, lame. Let's go. After another light jog, you caught up to Cove. He was going at a leisurely pace and smirked when he saw the two of you in the corner of his vision. Hey. Hi. Together, you, Cove, and Derek left your neighborhood and returned to the main sidewalk that you took to reach the grocery store hours earlier. An exchange of glances between you and Derek was the only interaction you had during the walk. Cove kept his sun-kissed face forward and his mouth shut. Shopping wasn't on your neighbor's mind because that building was passed without acknowledgement. He was taking you further down the path. Only about a minute later, your progress was halted by a row of strikingly orange traffic cones and strings of droopy "Do Not Cross" banners. Should we go around? No, we're here. Huh? Derek stalled. Cove, however, got to his knees in front of the blocked-off area. His eyes were glinting with intention. I saw this when we were leaving, but some people were working on it. The concrete is still wet, and there's no one around now. Not him being a troublemaker. Yet again, Cove had knocked the gas out of Derek. You're not gonna mess it up, right? That's someone's hard work, Cove. Cove didn't have to say anything to answer. He shared a coy smile, and that was enough.
Oh, man.
Oh, Cove, this is really bad. The grin on Derek's face trembled, both from laughter threatening to spill out and the fear of getting in trouble. No, it's perfect. Why am I not surprised? Cove, you can't. Yep. It makes sense why you didn't say this before. You shook your head and sighed. You stared around nervously in case anyone caught you. I'm gonna shake my head and sigh. Cove, you're a bad influence. Cove furiously stuck his finger to the mud. muddy gray concrete. He slowly etched out a series of numbers. When he was done, the corner of the block had 2011 scribbled into it for all to see. He said, how old was I in 2011? I was in fact 13. Okay. He surveyed his work with pride while wiping his dirty finger on the side of his pant leg. Him and his I can't. You wrote your initials, you wrote all 3 of your initials. You added summer above 2011. You drew a heart, you drew a smiley face. You could only watch his cove to face the sidewalk. I'm gonna write my initials. No, I lied. I'm gonna write summer. That made more sense to you than just having it be the year. Derek stared hard at the soft, forbidden canvas and slowly crouched down. He paused, he bit his lip, then ultimately pressed one finger into the tacky surface to leave a small print. He'd left the sign of his presence there on that day, right along with Cove and you. Relief came to Derek's features once he'd finished. What did he write? Hopefully it dries before anyone finds out. Yeah. The single word was only a whisper, but it was warm and pure. I'm surprised you did it, Derek. So am I. Cove dusted his pants off as he stood over a job well done. Derek shut up as well, newly invigorated. He looked at the sky and squinted at the sun. The day was coming to an end, and no one could say your group had wasted it. This was true for the entire summer. No matter what happened when school started again and when an unknown future arrived, you'd still have all the memories you made together when you had the chance and the things you left behind. Oh, what a nice little vignette that was. I'm gonna save it. I don't know if I want to do soiree or siblings. Should we just go in this order? Or should we save this? Angel, welcome in! Okay, you gotta ask Cove with long hair or short hair. The long hair better. I have a preference for long hair. How are you doing though? It's been a bit. What's up? I think we're gonna do soiree. Same. He looks better with longer hair to me. He does. What does this say? Wild? Whatever. Away in the morning, doing whatever struck your fancy, and now you were recharging with lunch. With nothing on the horizon, you were free to spend as much or as little time on your plates as you wanted. We're doing Derek's DLC now. And after we finish Derek's DLC, we're gonna do Baxter's. It was while you were thinking on the possibilities for your afternoon that your moms approached you. Hi, Kingsley. You okay? Mouthful, you nodded in reply. To your surprise, they both sat with you at the table. Based on the time, you had wondered if they were joining you for a meal, but neither of them brought anything. Nothing much. Cove got you into the love guys with long hair. I love that. I've always had a thing for long-haired guys. Like, my boyfriend has long hair. And he cut it, and it's like, it's not short, but it's like shorter than what he's usually had. And he looks so different. It's so different because I like when he has long hair, but I also like how his hair looks now. Maybe just because I'm in love. Maybe that's it. So you thought you would ask? You know what? That's fair. That's valid. I have a thing for guys with long hair. I do. Don't know why. I do. But what have you been up to lately? Have you played the demo yet? For what was it? Forever and Always or something? I can't remember what the demo was called, but I haven't played it yet, but I have it downloaded. It's my desk sticky, you know. Great. We wanted to have a little chat with you. The qualifier little did nothing to downplay the situation. Your chewing slowed as your eyes widened. Looking from one parent to the other, anything that required both of them to talk to you must be something big. It was unsettling. You perked up, your mind full of exciting possibilities. Irritated at the interruption. I'm not grown. I'm gonna be a typical teenager. You have long hair on anime women, but you love having it short IRL. I don't know what it is about short-haired women, but they're so fine to me. I don't know why. It's just they are. Long-haired men, short-haired women. That's it. That's the combination for me. Nothing good came of any conversation that had to be announced ahead of time. You weren't sure you wanted to even know. If you don't be like that, it's gonna be a good chat. There's a soiree at the Cypress tomorrow night. Your mom and I are going. So why did you talk to Elizabeth about this? Why are you bringing this to me? The Cypress was a country club your moms were part of, and where Elizabeth played goth. Goth? Yes, Elizabeth dressed up as a goth and went to the country club. Where Elizabeth played golf. It seemed like every other month they had some event or another, all the fancy names like soiree. You should want to see your male model. He has very long hair. I would love to see it. I would 100% love to see it. I've been thinking about getting a male model. However, it costs money, and I don't have money. I want to do other things before I get another model, or like add things to my model. But one day I shall have a male model, and he shall be the hottest. He shall be the hottest male model. Male model. Yeah, because he's a model. He does work. He's on the runways, the catwalks. Fine, you jumped up your fingers and waited for the grand reveal. Mom chuckled at your poorly concealed reaction. Leaning in, Ma took your hand and squeezed it. She's a toucher. We've decided to make the night a bit special. Elizabeth's going to be allowed to stay home fully alone for the first time. You'll still be coming to the party with us. It's Elizabeth's night to party with no family around. Are you sure you want her to party? Are you sure you're gonna trust her with the party? I mean, okay, it's Elizabeth. Why do I keep messing up her name? It's Elizabeth's night to party with no family around, not yours. Sorry. You've gotta wait a couple more years. That's not fair. What's the soiree gonna be like? The usual. Well, mostly. We wanted to make it a special night for you too, so we've got something a little extra planned. That was unexpected. Interested, you listened. Your parents shared a look across the table. You cleared your throat, reminding them that you were waiting. They couldn't keep dropping such hints and then turn coy when the conversation was about to get good.
Well,
Since it's a pretty fancy party, there's still chaperone, and attendees are allowed to bring a guest. We thought it might be a nice opportunity for you to invite someone yourself as a date, if you want. Your eyes widened as the words sunk in. Your moms took advantage of your uncharacteristic silence and continue filling you in on the event. Even though we'll be at the party too, you don't need to worry about us getting in your way. You'll be free to eat, dance, and enjoy the music as you see fit. But no leaving the property. Mom nodded at Mom's interjection. What am I gonna do? Why can't I leave the property? What's not? I don't understand. Why did you add that? I wasn't gonna leave anyway, but like, why? Yes, as long as you don't leave the party, and if you'd rather bring just a friend, that's okay too. Great, that's amazing. You must have lit up because your parents shared an amused look again.
don't worry about it.
The soiree isn't until tomorrow, so you've got time. Just let us know your plans before we're heading out. And that's all. We'll leave you to your lunch now. Your moms rose from their chairs in unison, disappearing to another part of the house. You barely noticed their departure. All you could think of was what had just happened. The remnants of your lunch stared up at you from your plate. You felt that you should finish eating. You had lost your appetite. You know what? Let's just finish eating. We don't need to be glad about it. It's a bit strange. The conversation had taken your mind off the meal, but you opted to try to eat a little more. You picked up the plate for a little while longer. Even though you relocated to your bedroom, your head was stuck on the conversation that had unfolded at the dining table downstairs. You knew that. Having someone as a friend would be best. I want it to be a date. The prospect of having your first date made it impossible to sit still. You couldn't help but jiggle your foot as you laid on your bed, contemplating the possibility. That night being a date would mean actually asking someone out. The little you knew of that came from what you'd seen on TV and movies and what you'd heard from kids at school. Your moms hadn't even entertained the idea of you dating until now. You went over possible words and phrases in your head, setting up scenarios and smooth segues before tearing them down and trying something else. You realized that you'd been picturing Derek as the one you were asking. Of course I'm picturing Derek, that's my mams. It had been his name repeating inside your mind, your face brightening as you invited him to join you. You buried your face in your pillow, not willing to continue after noticing. Oh, this is so cute. Smiling, we're gonna smile. Smiling, you close your eyes at the daydream crystallizing in your head. Oh, we're so dramatic. You let your train of thought continue a little longer. You clearly pictured his pretty green eyes, the way he got a tiny frown when he was nervous, and tried your best to guess what he might do next. It was nice. You liked him. You knew you were supposed to be friends, but you just liked him. A lot. You wouldn't be able to stop thinking of him even if you wanted to, and you didn't. That was it. You decided to call Derek and invite him to the party. You were relieved to find the phone sitting in its cradle in the living room. Picking up the address book your mom's kept close to the phone, you flicked through until you found Derek's number under Suarez. You tapped the numbers into the phone and waited for someone to pick up.
Hello.
Suarez residence. Hey, Derek's mom, no. Actually, that's what I used to do with my friends' parents. I would call them my friends, their parental title. It just felt better to me. I'm calling them by their name, like Mrs., Mr. I don't know. It felt awkward. Good afternoon, Mrs. Suarez. This is Kingsley Rigel. Can I talk to Derek?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's out with his brothers right now. I can get him to call you back. You could wait for Derek to return a call. You had a little time. Change your mind about trying to ask Derek. No, we can wait. Thank you. It would be really great if he could do it today. I'll see what I can do. You traded goodbyes, hung up, and found a place to relax in the living room. This was as far as you got in decision making. You let yourself sink down to the corner of the couch and remain stuck against the plush cushions. Your plan A was on hold. More than that, it was hung up on. But you'd committed to waiting to hear from Derek, so waiting is what you had to do. Hey, you're non-binary too? I'm gender fluid. But in this game, I am man. I am gay man. The remote had been carelessly left on the green stool. Because I was doing it for Pride Month. But I didn't get to do anything for Pride Month, really. A lot of stuff happened, and I was just like, things got in the way. So that's why we're playing this. It was supposed to be for Pride Month, but life. Well, I'm gonna still play it, obviously, because I really like this game and I want to do the DLC. Everybody's gonna sit through this DLC. I don't care if they don't want to. You're gonna sit through it with me. I'm joking. The remote had been carelessly left on the green stool, almost certainly by your big sister. You lurched over the armrest to reach the TV device. Yeah, same for you. Stuff happened too. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm always sorry when things happen to other people, but when things happen to me, I'm just like, maybe I deserved it. Maybe it's karma. You stretched out your finger and succeeded in pressing down the on button. I totally forgot I clipped my thumb. I clipped the thumb fingernail in my right hand, but the other fingernails aren't clipped. And the only reason I did that because it was like super bothering me, and now it's really bothering me because I hate having long nails, and my nails aren't necessarily long right now, but they're getting kind of long for my liking, and I need to clip them very soon. It's bothering me. Sorry, I just had to tell you guys that I was bothered. Like, is this stuff like bad stuff or just like stuff like, oh, this is just life, I can get back on it? I hope nothing too bad's happened for you this month. Well, this June's over. I was thinking June. I still feel like I'm in June, but we're definitely in July, which I don't know how I feel about. Revolving back down to your seat, you caught a glimpse of what had appeared on the screen. The show playing was How It's Made, a mini documentary type show. The subject of the episode was prepackaged crackers. Oh, do you guys watch How It's Made? I find it very interesting. I've never watched it on purpose. It seeks me out, so me seeking it out. But all the times I've watched it, it's like, oh wow, that's a lot of work. There's a lot of very specific machines. You didn't have the motivation to actually pick up the remote to change the channel. You simply let it play. After discovering how ice is added to the flavor when mixing the wet and dry ingredients, a jingling ring echoed across the room. Someone was calling. Launching forward, you snatched up the ringer excitedly. This is definitely me. Who is it? The initial answer you got was a series of lighthearted chuckles. It's Derek. Hey, Kingsley. I'm really sorry I missed your call. You called me before. I was watching the little bros at the park. Mom came to find me. She did? Yeah. so I could call you back. Oh, Mrs. Suarez, you did a big favor. Could you tell it was important? But, thanks for calling. Was there something you wanted to talk about? I'm going to the summer soiree at Cyprus tomorrow. My moms are going too.
Cool.
You gotta tell me what happens when you get back. No, you dunce. I'm about to ask you. We'd officially gotta talk to him about the party. The time had come to do something with the opportunity. You resolved to make it a date. I'm making it a date. Derek, I want you to be my date for the party. Do you want to go on a date with me? My parents said it'd be alright if I brought a date, and I thought maybe, will you go to the party with me as a practice date? No, I'm not gonna say that, no. Derek, be my babes. Oh, it's blushing. So cute. You spoke your thoughts clearly. Kingsley has no time for the bullshit. He's straightforward, he's about what he's about. The pitch of his voice shot up so strikingly, it cracked through the phone. Oh, really? The possibility took a second for Derek to process, and then another second, and then another, so 3 whole seconds? Derek? Finally, he gave a rushed reply. Oh, no, yeah, I want to go. You're supposed to take a date to a party like that, right? It makes sense. Yay! Yay! I think that one's so cute. Prior stalling aside, your invitation had Derek positively giddy. He giggled and babbled away from the receiver, but it wasn't nearly quiet enough for the phone to not pick it up. This is so cute. I can't believe it. This is the best. And it's a date, Derek.
It's a date.
It's a date. It's so cute. He smiled widely. It was going to be a special night. A muffled feedback masked Derek's voice as he talked on. He was moving around. You could easily picture him bouncing about his apartment, phone still in hand.
Oh man.
What do you think they're gonna have at the soiree? Dancing? Music? Sparkly drinks, maybe? Probably. The Cyprus usually has the pretty fancy parties. So cool. The anticipation between the both of you continued to rise, just imagining what tomorrow night might bring. Will he have enough time to get like a suit or something? I don't know what his family has. I didn't look through his closets. But the party you were already starting was interrupted when Mom ambled back into the living room. Christ on a stick, can I read? She almost gave a shout to greet you, but caught herself when she noticed you were on the phone. Mimicking your current position, Mom stuck out her thumb and pinky finger and pressed the hand against her ear. At the same time, her lips stretched forward to slowly mouth the word who. Aren't you fucking nosy? Mom, mind your business. I'm joking. No, I would not say that to my mom. I've gotta go. My mom's here. You was the phone. Can you hang on for a second? I've gotta answer my mom. Oh, bye. No, I'm not hanging up. You stare at your mom with the phone in your hand, your mouth open.
No worries.
Say I said hello. Leaving things with him there, you lowered the phone to the counter. So, what's happening? I'm talking to Derek. He says hello. Derek Suarez? Her eyebrows arched in curiosity, but she still wore a grin. And did he happen to call out of the blue, or was it you who gave him a ring? Maybe to ask a certain question? Mom, can you mind your business right now? You're being so weird. Yeah, he's a lucky guy asked to the soiree. Okay. What kind of outing will it be? Oh my gosh, she's so fucking nosy. Can I tell you the deets afterwards? Like, I'm on the phone right now. Her voice was hesitant but serious. It's a date. Mom nodded in understanding. She wore a wispy smile. Would you mind putting him on speaker for a second? I need to ask him something about tomorrow. Oh? The request caught you off guard and you fumbled the receiver for a second, but you got it under control and hit the speaker button. See, it's not me this time. It's not me. It's the game. Derek, you can talk to my mom. I put you on speaker. Hello, Miss Rigel. Hey there. I have a quick question. What are you intending going out with Kingsley for his very first date? Mom, what the fuck is wrong with you? Oh my god. Stop. You covered your eyes with your hands, wishing it had been Ma down here when you'd come home. Yeah, we stand Ma. Ma's not weird like Mom is. Then again, Ma would have been just as embarrassing, but in a different way. She might have even cried. That's different though. I feel like Ma is way better than Mom. If I'm choosing sides, it's always gonna be Ma. But Derek didn't buckle whatsoever from the pressing your mom put on him. Oh?
I've got a plan.
Oh. I have the extra best of intentions. Kingsley's gonna have such a fun time, he won't even know what hit him. Okay, good. That's enough for me. The big day isn't even here yet. You wondered if that meant she intended to give a repeat of his performance tomorrow. You were afraid to find out. Alright, bye then? Bye.
See you later.
Take care and see you soon. There were some happy giggles that snuck through before all sound on the other side cut off, marking the end of the conversation. Well, would you mind if I borrowed the phone now? I'll give Derek's parents a call back and get everything squared away. You held the receiver out and Mom strode over to pluck it out of your hand. Thank you very much, kiddo. Your part of the prep work was finished, and the rest of the afternoon passed just like that. Back in your room, your mind was alight with visions of tomorrow night. The soiree was something, but not nearly as exciting as going on your first date. You were thrilled that Derek had actually said yes and that he was your genuine date to a party. You hugged your knees to your chest, overawed by the thought. The night couldn't come soon enough. The evening of the soiree had arrived, the daylight hours having slipped away in a blur. Up in your bedroom, you were getting ready for the big event. That was your intention, at least. But you hadn't settled on an outfit. Stationed in front of your wardrobe, you scanned over the clothing you had at your disposal. Though Ma had mentioned this event was a bit dressier than a normal get-together, you didn't necessarily have to comply. You wondered how Derek might feel about your outfit. I wonder how he would feel about my outfit. You couldn't help but consider how he would respond to the way you were dressed. Would he like seeing you dressed all fancy, or would it reinforce the weirdness of the situation? What is weird about this situation? I literally asked him on a date and he said yes. There's nothing weird about that. Your mind drifted to the next city over. Was Derek going through the same steps right now, staring at his wardrobe and trying to decide what to wear? You had no idea if he would dress up for the occasion himself or if he'd wear his usual attire. He better not wear his usual attire. He better dress up. It would be so much easier if you knew what he was going to do. You didn't want to look stupid in front of Derek, you wanted to impress Derek, you didn't want to come across as excited, you didn't want to look like you were taking this too seriously, you wanted to see him. No, I want to impress. I want to look formal. You attempted to decide between the nicer pieces in your wardrobe, the ones that really had a chance to come out. You decided to dress formally because you feel like you had to. You honestly liked dressing up. You were dressing to impress. You ought to put things you own to use. You want to make Mom happy. I'm dressing to... You know what? Didn't we say we liked fashion? We do. We liked dressing up. There was something magical about the sheen of an elegant fabric and the cut of formal wear. Something that transformed everyone into a more sophisticated version of their normal self. To start, you decided to wear... I'm gonna wear a button-down shirt. If I can wear a three-piece suit, I will. Crisp shirts. What is wrong with me? Crisp shirts were a classic formal look for a reason. They were essentially foolproof. You paired your top with dress pants. You picked a pair that complemented the color of your top and nodded with satisfaction. It was a slick look. Oh, am I gonna slick my hair back? That'd be cool. You began to get dressed, your fingers working stiff zips and awkward fastenings. It felt different against your skin, reminding you with every movement that you were dressed up. Whatever happened tonight, you were pleased that you'd gotten the opportunity to wear this. Now dressed, you gave yourself a final glance over before heading downstairs, ready to head out. You found your moms already waiting in the living room. They were putting the finishing touches on their outfits. Ma strapping her heel into a stiletto shoe, and Mom trying to fasten a bracelet on a bracelet single-handed. Aww, why does Mom look like she's going to do a funeral? They looked up at you as you entered. Oh, Kingsley, you look so nice, don't you think, Pam? Thanks for dressing up, Kingsley. I hope the party will be prepared for your arrival. You look sharp. Mom was still struggling with the bracelet. You lent a hand, literally, by taking one side and holding it as she secured the clasp. Thanks, kiddo. Ugh, it's you. I absolutely love Elizabeth. She's just a pain in the ass as a teenager, which all teenagers are. Elizabeth flittered down the stairs, her eyes narrowed.
What?
You're still here? Yes, but not for much longer, hopefully. Wait, I know you're excited, but we haven't even said goodbye, and I want to go over how things are going to play out. Elizabeth Sider's mom began listing the rules, ticking them off on her fingers. No ordering takeout or other deliveries. You can't have anyone else come over. Hold on. Mom, you said she could have a party. This doesn't sound like a party to me. Uh-huh. She nodded, resigned to her fate, listening to the set of rules she could predict without so much as a glance at a crystal ball. If anything happens, you call us or go across the street to the Holdens. Keep the noise down. This house might be empty, but there are people all around in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Usual house rules still apply. Don't do anything you wouldn't do if we were here. And we'll be back no later than 11:30 p.m. We will call if there are any issues, so don't tie up the phone line all night. Right. Hold on. Can you go now? Ma strode over and swept Elizabeth up in a hug. Your sister let out a small noise, her eyes widening, and suddenly looked much less like the smug teenager she acted like. You're such a big girl now. I still can't believe it. Elizabeth rolled her eyes. This wasn't the quick departure that she'd been hoping for. Any chance of it ending soon vanished as Mom joined in the hug. Neither can I. It feels like it was only just yesterday that... Elizabeth groaned, trying to cut the reminiscing off without success. You laughed and stayed well clear of the love pile. Elizabeth scowled at you and over Ma's shoulder. Can you all just go? Jeez. Your family disentangled from the hug in time to catch the doorbell ringing. Oh, the guest of honor is here. She raised. How do we think Derek's gonna look? Is he gonna be in a suit? Do you think? I feel like he'd have like a little tiny suit. She raced down to the door. As Ma predicted, Derek had arrived right on time and was ushered inside.
Nice.
You look very nice, Derek.
Same.
Aww. Why are you dressed like a waiter? Why do you look like a waiter? I was hoping you'd get a suit. Thanks, Miss Rigel. So do you. Derek pulled at the ends of his little polka dot bow in satisfaction. He's so precious. His gaze, though not so subtly, sought you out. And that's going to you too, Kingsley. Classy. On the final words, his voice faded away, softly like the rays of dimming light. His words took you by surprise, but after the earlier worries about your appearance, they were a welcome balm for your nerves. Oh, this is precious. You attempted to control the grin spreading across your face. The small statement had made a big impact. You inspected his outfit in turn. You're looking good too. I love your bow tie. Love a bow tie, Derek, you tease. I wish I could say the same to you. Oh, that's so mean. I would not say that. You look wonderful. His crisp, formal clothes could barely contain the elation Derek was vibrating.
Thank you.
He's so precious. Oh, before I forget, this is for you. Did I get him a corsage? You'd been prepared for Derek's arrival in more way than one and grabbed a few wrinkled bills off the counter. Oh, the money that I owe him. $3, huh? You're a guy of your word, Kingsley. Thanks. You're welcome. With that, your debt had been paid. Now that Mom had finished reiterating the rules to Elizabeth, who then scurried off to the sanctuary of her room, she came over to greet Derek. Hi, Derek. Nice to have you along for the ride. Thank you for taking me.
You're welcome.
It's no trouble. You're always welcome. Mom's eyebrows rose in twin lines of concern. Let's all remember that this is only a very, very first date. There's no pressure on either of you, alright?
Yeah.
No pressure. Yeah. His absolute enthusiasm began to dim at the statement. Luckily, Ma came over and cheered him on. Mom's the cautious sort, sweetie. You don't need to look so worried. Mom smiled reassuringly. She didn't intend to scare him. Ma laid a hand on her shoulder. We should get to the car. There's nothing fashionable about being late. Oh, and before I forget, thank you so much for getting here on the dot, Derek. That's appreciated.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, Mrs. Rigel. I want to thank you too. The entrance really was perfect. Can you teleport or something, you joke? Always polite, huh, Derek? No. The entrance was really perfect. And it must have been hard to time things with the long trip over here. Yeah, I was gonna be late for this. Love. Carefree laughter and conversation flowed with Derek.
Man.
Man, I I thought, man, I told my mom it was 30 minutes before it actually was. I was definitely gonna be here when it was time to go. That's cute, actually. Huh? Wouldn't you have been here ahead of time? Clever, you got everything figured out. Your mom got here 30 minutes late? Basically. Wait, if that's what happened, did you really just get here? You're great, but your mom is unreliable. That's something Gil would say to me. Did you really just get here? And then the stream hit a block. Aw. Derek broke eye contact with you. He poked at his pant hem, tucking his shirt down more to keep busy. Not really. Mom got me here on time. It's like 30 minutes before now. I didn't want to interrupt you and your mom's because you were probably getting ready then. I just hung out at the park. Derek! Oh, you could have came in. With a wink, Derek tried to smooth over the awkwardness of that confession. Jeremy never popped up out of the bushes and sought me, so it was all good. Babes, we haven't even seen Jeremy since the epilogue into this season. What season? The step. That's what I meant to say. Make you feel special that he cared so much. That actually does make me feel happy a bit. That means a lot. You can come inside my home whenever you want, Derek. You are adorable. Your mouth. You can come inside whenever you want. He kicked up a leg bashfully, giggling the whole time. I wanted to make a good impression, but I know you would have been cool about it. And even if I had to be bored for a while, at least it was here in your neighborhood. You could have hung out with Cove. You never know. There could have been traffic, or what if Jorge fell off a gate and broke his collarbone again? Again? When the fuck did that happen? Exactly. Jorge fell off a gate and broke his collarbone before? Yeah, when he was 8, but is he not 8 now? Oh wait, he's 10. You invited me to a soiree. My life would be over if just one of those things came up and, oh well, guess we're not going after all, happened. Derek was drowning in the conversation of his own making. He chose to put a stop to that, building a dam between him and it. Sorry, I don't want to be all complainy when we're going to a party. Babes, you can complain all you want. I told you this already. And besides, coming early isn't gonna matter if we're late because we kept talking about being early. Let's catch up with your moms. Right, you better hurry. You pulled up at the country club. The sun had sunken deep into the horizon, the last of its light sleepily warming the oncoming night. Your moms led the way to the space around the back where the event was being held. The place had been transformed through decoration, with smart tablecloths and elegant ribbons contributing to a festive atmosphere. Musicians dressed in matching black and white were setting up their instruments and flicking through pages of the music sheet. And, as promised, there was a table covered in plates of carefully prepared food. Destination reached, your parents rounded on you and Derek. Things haven't kicked off yet, but don't let that stop you from enjoying yourselves. Have fun, we'll be around if you need us.
See you later.
See you. Bye. Derek enthusiastically waved your moms off, stretching his arms as high as it'd go. Bye, Mrs. and Mrs. Rigel. Once they retreated a distance away, you found him watching you. His eyes sparkled in the dainty dangling lights all around as your date together officially began. Is there anybody you want to socialize with? That's what parties are for sometimes. Or we could get refreshments. I'll introduce you to people. We seem like a people person, Derek. I know a lot of these people since my moms have brought me here a lot since I was little. Wow, I want to meet them. You beckoned for him to follow you. He strolled up to your side and matched your pace. Most of the attendees skewed significantly older or considerably younger than the two of you, with only a few people around your age. Derek easily found his place in the audience. He dipped his head politely and made his introduction. Hey, I'm Derek. It's really nice to meet you. His well-mannered disposition won over the longtime Cypress members right off the bat. Could not say the same for Cove. Great to meet you too, son. As you expected, there was interest in who you'd brought to the party and what your relationship with him was. And Kingsley, good to see you. It's your date? Derek clasped his hands behind his back while scooting an extra step closer to you. He was poised as if you were about to take a proper couple's portrait photo. Oh, it's so cute. His rosy cheeks would have looked perfect if the picture had been taken. Yeah, Kingsley needed a date for the party, and he picked me for it. His phrasing had caught your attention. Did he really think you had to have a date and that's why you asked? Or were you just thinking too hard about it? There was no way you could tell by his tone. Derek had used his best behavior voice for the adults. And the circle of guests all visibly reacted to the explanation, to touching a hand to their cheek or chest. It was clearly too much for their hearts. It's too much for my heart, too. Best of luck on your date. Derek definitely made an impression on them. Still, some people focus on the important things. How you were dressed. Don't you look snappy in that outfit? You've scrubbed up well. With the basic niceties taken care of, you... I feel like we're gonna keep on chatting. That's the thing Kingsley would do. He's a yapper. The lighthearted, even though we weren't yapping when we were with Cove and Derek, but we're a yapper outside. The lighthearted conversation continued until someone's stomach rumbled. You parted ways with the group so they could make a break for the snack table. It was back to just you and your guest. Hey, Derek. Is there anything you'd want to do? Letting the next move be up to him, Derek restlessly looked around the party. He squinted his eyes and really considered the possibilities. Then he gave an unassertive answer. Well, if it wouldn't be a big deal, would it be alright if you showed me around? I've never seen any of this place, so like we could go on a walk. Derek's pointer fingers tapped in rhythm across the edge of a nearby table, like he was spelling out his answer in a text or a typewriter. Definitely. I'll be your expert tour guide. Thanks. Derek happily trotted ahead, checking over his shoulder to see if you were coming too. You made sure to keep up with his pace. You led him down a familiar stone walking path you knew would get far. Your lovely stroll around the country club grounds began in earnest. The bustling sounds of the party soon faded away, replaced by the whispers of cricket songs and the serene summer breeze. Along the way, you gestured outward to point out what buildings were what, from simple storage sheds to special club rooms for VIP members. And you were able to tell Derek all about the golf holes in the distance that you passed by, including how good or bad your big sister was at completing them. You had a chance to tell the funny story when one time she got a penalty for a strike that landed in a water hazard. Ha ha, Elizabeth. She had jumped right in the little pond to retrieve the ball and tried to pretend it never happened while dripping wet. Derek was as amused as he was amazed. He engaged with you, making silly guesses about what you would tell him about next. Derek jokingly suggested that a normal garage was a research facility. Let me reread that. Derek jokingly suggested that a normal garage was a research facility studying how to add extra green to the grass. You were so absorbed in your companion for the outing and having the space to yourselves that you didn't realize the growing humdrum around you until it was right around the corner. Derek paused. He noticed it too. Oh? His eyebrow quirked as he tried to reason out the disturbance. Is that people? Did we make a loop and I just missed that? No, we're on the opposite end. It's about as far away from the event area as we could get. Curiously, Derek took big strides into mentally puzzling over what you'd said. Together, you passed by a large wall to reveal another seating area. It too was filled with formally dressed people. A second party? None of the faces scattered about were regular members. Each one was unrecognizable as any stranger off the street. You had your points to focus, and Derek his own totally separate ones. He spoke aloud to share what he'd noticed. That tables have cloth. The tables have cloth here, and I think the chairs didn't look like that back where we were. Actually, this kind of feels like we got stuck in some alternate reality version of our soiree, where everything is still really fancy, but also still different in weird ways. We'll giggle. This is their outdoor dining seating for other types of events, ones that aren't normally soirees. I've never had a reason to go here when I visit with my mom's. I kind of thought it'd be empty with a soiree happening. Derek's gaze wandered across the area, taking another shrewd look. Yeah, why be in this place when there's food and pretty lights over in the patio? And there's way more teens than at our party. Tons of them look like they're our age. This is mysterious. The long list of questions didn't bother Derek. Quite the opposite. Playing detective was something he was having fun with. It's time to get to the bottom of this. I'm gonna ask somebody what's up. What? Derek, are you really gonna do that? Tally ho, Watson. Sure, let's be weird together. Does Sherlock really say tally ho? I don't know. Sounded right.
I gotcha.
You've got a point. The two of you boldly headed into the thick of the family reunion. Oh, business meeting, wedding, secret society meeting, or whatever it was. Oh, okay. Soon you would know. Oh my god! Look who it is! Cameo from Baxter. The subject Derek zeroed in on was a tall kid, maybe a little older than you and him. He stood on the edges of the crowd by themselves. Most everyone else was part of the group or in one-on-one conversation, but not that person. Their hair was short, swooping black strands that framed a poignantly petite face. Their dark brown eyes were heavily lidded. I love Baxter's. I love Baxter's. I love Baxter's hair like this. It looks really nice, actually. On a second glance, you also noticed that there was a small mole on their neck. You wouldn't have been surprised if people often told them that they were pretty. The rest of their skin was pale white, the kind that had somehow escaped out any tanning, freckling, or even sunburning in California's summer rays. Derek offered a friendly wave once he was close enough for it to be clear he wasn't just passing by. Hey, so this might sound weird, but what are you guys all doing here? A coy smile came across the stranger's face. Oh, I gotta do Baxter's voice. We're visitors who are in this town for a dance circuit. This dining area is reserved for our group only tonight. What is going on with you? The tables were immediately turned. You and Derek had questions to answer for. He rubbed his cheek and chuckled uncomfortably. We didn't know that. There's a soiree happening on the other side of the club for members and their guests. That's where we came from. Please don't tell on us. That got them to open their eyes completely. They even leaned forward just a bit, much more engaged in the conversation. I thought I noticed something that way. It has been bothering me the entire evening. I was planning to check when it got darker. Yeah, well, that's what it is. Sorry for crashing your party. Don't apologize. The self-described dancer's eyes sunk back into their half-open state as their lips curved even further. The smile had become a true smirk. I'm still going to yours when I get the chance. The mutual exchange of secrets brought a lighthearted sense of camaraderie between your tiny group. But it didn't last. They inclined their head in a slight nod before breezing away. So when we do Baxter's route, we're gonna do Derek's scene. I don't know if it's... We could do Coves. I don't know which one gets us Baxter. But so far, this has gotten us Baxter, and doing Coves did not get us Baxter's. But it might happen if we, don't invite anyone on a date, so it really just depends. I'm gonna have to do some research into it. Bye! Good luck with your dance circuit, and everything else! Goodbye, have a nice life, thanks for talking to us. You watched them leave. Yeah, good luck not getting caught. Good luck not getting caught. As soon as your vague acquaintance mixed back into the crowd of fellow suited performers, Derek wrapped his arms around his chest. Okay, I feel way more out of place now that we're not even talking to anybody. Let's go back to the path before one of the adults realizes we're not supposed to be here. It's gonna be like that movie with the aliens who take over people where they point and yell at real humans. That's so freaky. What the fuck are you talking about, Derek? Wait, they probably can't tell. Let's join this party. If you want to leave, I don't mind. Derek's expression tense with a grim seriousness. Oh, I'm sorry, did I catch you off guard? He took an extra step towards you, never taking his eyes off your surroundings. Did I upset you? I'm sorry. Some of the guests had already begun directing lingering glances at the two of you, unsure of your presence there. The closeness allowed you to hear conspiratorial words said under his breath. How are we gonna handle this? We need to hide. You can escape faster if we get out on the grass. We just need to pretend we belong and walk out. I've got no clue. You froze. Pretend we belong and walk out. Trying to ignore the stares, you made your break for it. You hooked an arm around Derek and began to walk. He took a breath and began to walk. Hook my arm around my man's. After a bit of a stumble, Derek evened his poise and properly took your arm. He kept his head high, chest out, chin pointed, and pumped his other hand back and forth in time with his footsteps. The act was more a parody of a fancy pants rich person than a normal human at a get-together. But Derek always had to give things his all. Foot by foot, the way to freedom grew ever closer. After passing a group of people, an unfamiliar voice hit your ear from behind. Excuse me, do you know where your parents are? Excuse me, can you mind your business? The server may have honestly been wondering, or it might have been a veiled method to call you out as not belonging in the politest way possible. That it didn't change the fact that you were spotted waltzing around a private party you weren't invited to. I thought we were leaving. I thought that's what was happening. The next sound that made its way through your pounding heartbeat was a far more familiar whisper.
Shoot.
Come. You didn't need to hear anything else. Two of you were in sync. Like a switch was hit, you burst up to your full height and used the momentum to launch yourself forward past the failed hiding spot. What was happening? I did not recall. I thought we were leaving. You lost hold of each other's arms in a sprint, but you kept to each other's side. Your dramatic escape caused a minor ruffling of feathers throughout the crowd. Shouts of "Hey, and stop running!" could be heard over the confusion that was going on. It was just as Derek had feared, but no one was actually chasing after you, as far as you could tell. However, neither you nor Derek were taking chances, and you kept up the frantic pace. You were escaping the metaphorical aliens. Your throbbing heart was caught up in your throat as your pounding feet propelled you down the same track you came from. Being dressed in your Sunday best didn't help matters. It may have been fitting for a summer soiree, but it didn't fit at all for situations like that you had somehow ended up in. See, if we had a three-piece suit, I bet no one would have said a single thing. It seemed you and Derek had a knack for winding up in positions that required a hasty retreat. At least that time you could get away for good. You wouldn't have to go home and face the music like when you ditched Elizabeth on the first day of vacation. Once you'd made it halfway back across the country club, you finally floundered into a stop, huffing and heaving for a breath. You had to prop yourself up with your hands against your knees. Your face was flushed with heat, but a chill began seep in as, that wasn't me. In the evening, when brushed over beads of sweat on your skin. Ew, we're sweating? Gross. You got goosebumps along your arms. It was invigorating. Meanwhile, Derek wiped his forehead with the palm of his hand, likely missing those plush wristbands he almost always had on, and glanced up at the sky. Looks like we shall live to see another day. Let's do this again, another victory in the bag. We're practically criminal masterminds now. This better be the last time we do this, Derek. We're criminal masterminds now. Yeah, basically. And if I had to have a partner in crime, it's cool that it's you. The rest of the walk back was indeed a walk. You could relax with a slow pace, enjoying the quiet reassurance of being alone with Derek. The rest of the world was unable to reach you for a little while. Nightfall had long passed by the time you and Derek found your way back under the dazzling lights of the summer soiree. Mom would say it's not fashionable to be late, but maybe it was when it's your second time arriving to a party. It might have been to Derek. He took in the scene with new eyes, amazed once again by the elegance surrounding him. With a tilt of his head, he shot a chummy grin at you. Yeah, I definitely did have to be here for this. It's living a real-life movie instead of watching one. What do you mean instead of? Were you gonna do something else tonight? For a second, he didn't speak, frozen in place. Then Derek deflated like a free balloon from the shopping street. His shoulders sunk low and forward. He bent on his knees. Well, actually, we were all gonna go to the movie theater. Mom, Dad, the bros. It was something we knew would be today for a couple weeks. Oh, fuck, dude. I'm sorry. But then you called and you asked me to go to a party, and I said yeah. I didn't even think about how there was already a plan for that day. He chuckled at himself, eyebrows pinching together tightly. It was kind of awkward when I had to tell my parents I couldn't call you back and say I wasn't gonna go after all and beg them to let me miss the movie. Luckily, they could tell this was a matter of life or death and still wanted their son around, so they decided to bring me over. Derek and you were somehow equally shocked by his explanation. I didn't process a single thing he said. Man, I always used to remember those things. They were big deals and now this happened. It's okay, it's because you like me. It's because you got a crush on me. He sighed, baffled and frustrated. The green-eyed boy had lost the metaphorical keys to his own thoughts. I gotta do better next time. Girl, what are you talking about? You already do more than anyone I know. My mom says tonight is me growing up more. I think you're growing up too. You're kind of impulsive. Derek, the impulsive streak again. You're 13. If it helps, I'm happy you wanted to see me so much. I'm happy you wanted to see me so much. He physically perked right up, standing straight again. A flush rushed over his cheeks that he tried to play off with a joke. It would have been extra embarrassing if you didn't even care if I decided not to come. And Kingsley, I want to say I'm the one who forgot I was doing something and had to skip out on the family movie. You didn't make me abandon them or anything, so I hope you don't feel bad about it. Thanks, Derek. No worries, just checking. Derek scuffed the base of his black slip-on loafers against the ground as words faded away. Then he lifted his head to look somewhere past you. Oh, hey, the music's playing. Did I say that right? The music's playing? I feel like I mumbled that. He spoke softly, like he was afraid he'd bring the melodies to an end if he interrupted them. But Derek was right. Once you brought it to the front of your mind, the rest of the world came back in, the sounds of delicate plucks of strings included. There was no crowd gathered to dance, only a few couples spread out against the space. You must have missed the initial stream of soiree attendees. It had grown late. Well, since we're here already and everything, would you want to dance with me? We're not going to eat anything and have a little dinner. I don't want you to go home starving. The question ended on a hopeful, upward inflection. He bounced up on his heels once to punctuate it. Derek stopped breathing entirely when the sentence was complete. I would, Derek. I was just gonna ask the same. Would you like to dance with me? I don't really want to dance. I love to.
Nice.
Yes. Derek's cheer was pure, carefree even. The worries from right before it vanished as quickly as he'd forgotten the movie. There was a trend with him, with you. Sweetly, he brought up a hand for you to take. You wrapped yours around his. He was still a bit sweaty from earlier, though so were yours. Oh, he's close. You took to the wide open floor and turned to face each other directly. What are you doing? Raising the one arm with Derek's, you positioned. Let me restart that. Raising the one arm with Derek's, you positioned your other hand onto Derek at the same time. He followed your move with sharp focus. Your bodies were close enough together, and there was enough of a size difference that you had to tilt your head down to look at your partner for the dance. This is precious. When your eyes met, you felt your hand being squeezed much more tightly than Derek probably realized. Derek's face had gone a deep shade of red. You tentatively moved as one. Derek stepped lightly, never so much as pinching the tips of your toes. Oh, so he can dance, kind of, unlike Cove. Each sway transitioned better than the last, though there wasn't much of a flow. Derek danced like a machine clinking exactly into place at the right intervals. Oh, it's better than Cove, to be honest. There was tension in Derek that, for the second time in a few minutes, he tried to laugh away.
Hey.
Check it out. We totally are dancers. They should let us join that other party. His stiffness on the delivery only made the line funnier. You had to crack a smile. Derek let the conversation drift away, focus returned completely to a proper performance. You leaned over and rested your cheek on his head. Sure. Derek gulped, but pressed deeper into the touch. His warmth spread through you more wonderfully than the melodies swirling around. You were happy. Eventually, the last other guests returned to their tables to rest. It was only you and him left there. In a small voice, Derek let you in on what was on his mind. Hey, sorry we kind of missed the party. I shouldn't have made you take me around everywhere. Don't worry about it. I just hope you had fun. I've been to tons of parties. Doesn't matter to me. What? This is more fun. You shrugged. You gave him a reassuring smile. I was waiting for this. We could have done anything and it'd be great. Don't worry about it. I just hope you had fun. I did. I'm still having fun right this exact second. I'm really glad I had my first date with you. Thanks for trying and making this a good time. I'm really glad I had my first date with you. He looks upset a little bit, like, oh, is this our only date? That's kind of what he's giving the vibes, the face. The tips of his eyebrows dug lower into his face. He was serious.
Really?
You mean it? Yes, I really mean it. You brought him to a loss for words, or actually, it was to a point where any words he wanted to say only got stuck at the end of his tongue. His mouth opened with a question. Closed it again without asking. Derek? He instantly shook his head, not letting you speak anything you might have wanted to either.
Forget it.
It's nothing. Well, would it be way too much to say thanks for bringing me again? It's okay. Blissfully and with a dizzy tilt, Derek grinned that charming smile of his. Your heart slew. Words. Your heart clenched as if you were in the free fall of a skydive rather than standing in the middle of a pleasant party. The feeling of connection was mutual. Derek was buzzing with the kind of energy you only got when it was bouncing off the best of company. It made Derek break out his self-imposed mold. He tucked his left hand around your back and spun the both of you around. Aw. Whoa.
Let's go.
Let's dance. Definitely, I can try. We already were, but okay. Cool. The two of you twirl like ballerinas. You pushed and pulled your bodies apart and back together. As your mom would have said, you cut a rug across the soiree floor. Somehow you felt like a kid again, where it didn't matter what you did or who might be watching, the world was yours to enjoy. Derek had clearly embraced that mindset with a little impromptu tap dancing to the beat, bringing you along the whole way. This is precious. I love this scene. You cheered and laughed together until you lost your breath, and even so, you kept going. Then, all too soon, the song reached its conclusion. You could have continued quite contentedly for some more time. You and Derek let your arms drop down in front of you, though one hand stayed linked with his, and your feet remained rooted where they were. Suddenly, you weren't holding hands to dance. You were just hand-holding with Derek. You took the initiative to finish your performance with flair by giving a properly formal curtsy while still never letting go of you. Derek crossed his legs and swept his back down. Legs bent, he lifted his head to face you and winked. Oh, he's a winker. He's a winker. I love winking at Gil. It's so funny. He just giggles. I also giggle when people wink at me, though. Somehow you found some giggles left inside. You heard your name called out and Derek gasped. Both spun to find Mom yelling for you and Derek. Beside her, Mom was shaking her head. It's time to go home, Lonnie. I had to get a hold of them somehow. What did you want me to do? Sneak up on them? Her chosen method was admittedly better than that, but the timing was still terrible. We didn't even eat. You didn't even get to eat. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You're starving out here. Hopefully your parents brought you back some popcorn from the movies. Derek, that's the only reason I ever go to the movies is for popcorn. Because theater popcorn is different than like movie theater popcorn at home. Like, be for real. It's the butter. It's the fake butter. Derek breathed a sigh of relief after the shock wore off. The shout had thrown him right back to earlier in the evening when unknown adults were also yelling after you. He lifted up one cheek with a lopsided smile. Looks like we're getting away with it. The getaway ride is here. The two of you shared a private laugh while your parents watched the reaction in confusion. You were so glad you got a chance to dance with Derek after all your misadventures at the party. All of them. We didn't have very many misadventures. Despite the minor spook thanks to your mom, it had been a perfect ending. It'd been a perfect ending to the evening. Oh my gosh. And it had to end sometime. You didn't need to say anything to him. The two of you strolled together again over to your parents, who were still bickering playfully. Hello, Mrs. Rigel and Mrs. Rigel. Standing shoulder to shoulder, the two surveyed you and Derek. You wondered if they were checking that they were returning to Sora's Thud in the same state that he'd left the house. That was quite a night, huh, gang? Wasn't it just? I think it was pretty unforgettable. Derek's face had a full grin, and while the words were in response to your parents, he looked directly at you when he said them. Thanks for bringing us. Ma was smiling too, with an expression so soft it could have cradled a newborn chick. And how was your very first date? So good. Amazing. Really? We couldn't catch a glimpse of you the whole night, so what? Please don't start on them already. It technically hasn't even ended yet. Fine, fine. This seems like a conversation that Mom would start instead of Ma. Good, well, we better hustle. First off is bringing Derek home, and it's already getting late. Elizabeth will have a place to herself for a while longer. If we're lucky, our house might still be standing when we get back. Oh, shush. She swatted at your mom playfully, laughing at the comment. You cast one last look over. I'm so sorry. You cast one last look at the party. You saw people exchanging farewells and suppressing yawns. Most of the faces were happy ones, despite the weariness that was starting to creep in. Derek lingered near you, waiting. The pair of you were going to be left behind at the rate things were going. Turning away from the final moments of the summer soiree, you were left feeling grateful that you had such a good guest to keep you company the whole way through. You both easily caught up with your moms that hadn't gone far. Together, the four of you navigated the crowd parking lot filled to the brim with cars from the other visitors. Ma unfortunately couldn't remember where exactly the car was. It took a short game of extra elegant or extra ridiculous depending on your view. Hide and seek with a car to locate the familiar vehicle in the back corner of the lot. You clambered inside and Mom hit the road, not Mom. Mom's driving. It would be a while before you arrive at Derek's home, so you let yourself settle in against the seat. You slunk lower and rested your head against the car door. Little blurs of light flashed by one after the other as the car sped past street lamps lining the almost empty road. After more than 2 minutes of silence, Derek extended his arms and legs all the way out while lifting them in the air and pairing it with a wide yawn. What the fuck is he doing? Okay, I understand now. Sorry, I thought he was lifting his legs into the air. I was like, the fuck? Wait. He looked like a sleepy starfish. Derek glanced at you through squinted eyes as a soft smile replaced the large gape in his mouth before. In the darkness of the back of the car, as you rocked gently from the vibrations, he whispered to you. You're great. Oh? You're great. Well, you're even better. You're really cute. Are you doing okay? You were speechless. You're really cute. Thanks. His eyes fell closed, the ends of his lips still pulled up. Do you think that brown-eyed dancer ever made it to the soiree? I bet he did, Derek. It's a new mystery. I hope so. Don't care. Don't know, don't care. It's a new mystery. Yeah. Finally, you arrived at the condo complex. Your moms insisted on escorting Derek into his actual house. He didn't protest. You, of course, tagged along too. There's a chance to stay with Derek for a little longer. It would be too creepy to wait in the car. I've never felt that ever. I've never felt that it's been creepy to wait in the car. I will pick staying in the car over most things. It was a short walk from the building through the modernly decorated lobby, up one floor and across the hall to Derek's front door. You paused the journey for a second to give a warning. We're gonna have to be really quiet. It's past my brother's bedtime. You and your mom nodded as a group. Mom even went the extra mile by making a mock sipping gesture across her lips. She's so extra. That was enough for him, and Derek shoved a hand deep into his gray dress pants. He retrieved a loop of shiny silver keys. He cycled through the first couple on the ring before carefully gripping the one he needed. It was slotted into the keyhole, twisted, and then the door was tugged slowly open. Derek went straight in. You followed on his heels. With Ma behind you and Mom got inside last, she shut the door. Why are they in here? The lights were on in the main room, but it was an empty space. None of the 4 people here could be seen. The only sound was the clinking rumbling of an active dishwasher. Derek bobbed his stretched out hands down low and back up, gesturing like a team captain for you to hold the line. Your mom gave a thumbs up. He tiptoed down the hall, hunching his shoulders up high. When he reached the last door in the end, he shifted from almost crouching to extending out to his tallest height. Then Derek gave the door a few light knocks. Mr. Suarez answered. His features lit up seeing who was there. Mrs. Suarez joined her son and husband right after. Mouths open and closed as they had an inaudible conversation on the other side of the condo. Their lips shut when Derek pointed to the entryway. Both Suarez parents took a step out of the room, one in front of the other. They easily spotted your family there, huddled together in your formal attire. The 3 of you stayed put while they crowded through the hall. Oh, I would have thought they'd been in their PJs. The room became alive with pleasant pleasant greetings, gosh, between the 2 pairs of grown-ups, though all in hushed tones. They offered a hello to you next. Welcome to our home, Rigel family.
So good to see you.
Hello, hi, we've returned your kid in one piece. It's good to see you too. Hello. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad.
Hello.
Hello, Derek. I'm sorry for keeping him out so late. Right, for a mostly elderly crowd, those country club goers sure can party into the wee hours of the night. From the side, Mr. Suarez laughed. Apologies to Nicholas. Derek picked up on the little comment loud and clear and made his teeth clench.
Aww.
He threw a fit, huh? Chuckle grew into a full, unobscured laughter.
Yes.
He was trying to drown us all in tears when the time to sleep came and his most loved person still wasn't home. Junior wasn't pleased either in his way. I love how they skipped Derek to name Jorge after his dad. Like, the second son gets the junior title. I just find that interesting because most people name their juniors when they get the firstborn. But that's just an interesting little thing. Maybe that's like a different thing in Hispanic families. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not Hispanic. I wouldn't know. In contrast to the father's tickled amusement, Derek's mom frowned. She rubbed the opposite sides of her forearms with her hands crossed over her chest. Derek and Kingsley can't be blamed for that. This was an important night. Yes, it is. Derek and his mom brought a finger to their lips to hush Mr. Suarez in a united chorus of disapproval. Derek's dad chuckled softly under his breath, rustling his beard. You got the impression he knew exactly what reaction was going to get, what reaction he was going to get, and it was done on purpose. He played innocent and simply continued with what he wanted to say.
So,
How was your date? Fun? He tucked his fingers into the edges of his vest, puffing up his chest. I know you of all our children were prepared to accompany someone to a proper social gathering. One day, when you were older, you could come with me to business dinners. Mr. Suarez's genuine pride over the date felt like a foreign language in comparison to your mom's love of teasing. But for Derek, the nod of approval made him just as bashful as your parents could do to you. We had a nice time. Thanks, Dad. Mrs. Suarez beamed and gave her child an encouraging pat on the cheeks, squashing his face between her both hands.
That's great.
That's what we hope to hear. Thanks for getting Derek yesterday so we could talk. Thank you for letting Derek come to party with me. I'm sorry for inviting Derek somewhere when you have plans. Thanks for letting Derek come. You're welcome, Kingsley. I wouldn't have wanted him to miss it. His parents were so nice, but that wasn't a surprise. Derek had to get it from somewhere. And have no fear, Junior and Nicholas will recount the movie so well it will be as if you saw it yourself. I already feel as though I've watched it myself 3 or 4 times. That's so cute. It was meant to be a further encouragement, but the weight of the self-imposed shame brought Derek's head down. His mother watched over him, his mouth opened slightly before she had the words to say. Were you stressed about that tonight? Not coming to the movies with us? Maybe a little.
No more.
Derek, you have nothing to be guilty over. End of discussion. No more feeling sorry. Derek's dad followed that up with a wholehearted agreement. When will there be another day to attend a summer soiree? A movie can be rented after it leaves the theaters. It will wait for you as long as you want. And so will we. We're not going anywhere. Derek finally let himself embrace the fact that he'd done something just for himself, and that was alright. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. He stood a little taller and seemed a little more grown up. Exhaling long and slow from his nose, Mr. Suarez spoke peacefully.
love is a beautiful thing.
Excuse you. That's a weird thing to say. You questioned if you actually heard that right, until you heard Derek. What? He might not have heard it himself, though. Derek was in such shock he shouted out with a volume higher than you'd ever experienced from him, and at the worst possible time for it. A bushy brow raised on Mr. Suarez's head. He frowned earnestly, bemused. What? Is that wrong? Derek snapped back with a pained frustration. There was an audible whine in his tone. Why would you say that? And then tiny rapid footsteps thumped out across the hardwood. I didn't come here for this. The echoes moved with purpose, and they were coming closer. An accepting sigh of defeat brought your attention away from their incoming commotion. Mrs. Suarez had folded her arms across her chest. Well, he's up. Derek clapped a hand to his face. He winced partially from the impact of that, but mainly from the consequences of his earlier action. I hate to chase you off, but we're gonna have to get Nicholas back into bed where he belongs. Time to call it a night, everyone. Oh no, I understand completely. Elizabeth was quite the handful when she was little. She still is, in different ways. A prim smile remained in place on Ma's face, but there was a smirk twinkling in her eyes. Derek's mom rested her hands back on her hips as she laughed musically. I say that Nicholas having the energy of 3 is a price I must pay with what angels Derek and Jorge are. We'll survive it together. The two sets of parents exchanged their briefest goodbyes, and with each other, they weren't any less friendly. There wasn't a time to waste. Night, Kingsley. Sorry about this. The party was great. Good night. See you later. You're still a perfect gentleman, huh? It was amazing. Have a good night. Bye. Luck with all that. See you later. Yeah. You waved with a sleepy softness while you were ushered out by your mom and Ma. Before your Ma could pull the Suarez's front door completely shut, a final squeal escaped through the crack. And that was followed by the click of a lock in place. Derek had officially been returned to his family. He was no longer your guest. Mom's heels clicked down the complex's hallway with her head high and a grin playing out on her face. Now that's one way to end the night. I agree, Pam. If only Elizabeth would welcome us home with the same level of enthusiasm. They both laughed, covering their mouths and trading glances like schoolgirls. You join in with a giggle. It was easy to imagine the sour face she'd show the second both you arrived back home. You stiffly followed behind your parents. You went along with a skip in your step. You dragged your feet behind you, exhausted from the long evening. You tiptoed after them on cloud nine, reminiscing about your night with Derek. It was magical. You were so glad you'd been able to stay with him for as long as you could. As your mom had said, your first independent formal party ended on a very memorable note. Oh, how lovely. Okay, so there's 2 more DLCs left. I am gonna end stream here today, though. I am. I'm so sorry, but I'm not, because it's time to fucking go. So, let's see. How am I feeling? I'm not really feeling like anything. I don't think I'm gonna raid today, so yeah, we're just gonna head on out. Let me change the screen. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining me for stream today. I really appreciate it. I will be back with Animal Crossing tomorrow. Hopefully, for some reason my Switch just started to be weird. Hopefully it's working again now. But yes, 11 a.m. EST tomorrow, Wednesday. And I think this is gonna be the last stream I do for the rest of this week. Because, the 4th of July is Thursday. That's a holiday. And my mom has plans. And then Friday is my grandma's birthday. And I'm gonna hang out with my grandma. So yeah, so I hope to see you tomorrow. I hope you have a nice rest of your day, week, month, year, and life. And I hope to see you in the next stream. Bye!